Welcome to Bills Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. It's Week 17 NFL football. 35 degrees, 4-mile-an-hour winds, and a cloudy sky just off Buffalo, New York. I'm Giovanni Heater alongside Kyle Marchak, and we bring you Week 17 NFL action. It's the Buffalo Bills playing host to the Miami Dolphins. Kyle, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on. I'm really looking forward to this Week 17 chaos, Gio. I mean, you and I have deep ties to both teams. You a Bills fan, and of course, me with my O.J. McDuffie jersey on today, a former wide receiver with Dan Marino back in the day. And fortunately, I couldn't find my Marino jersey, but nonetheless, excited for this game, Gio. Thank you for having me.
Josh Allen, and you're supporting your Miami Dolphins as well. So an exciting matchup. We figured today we'd dress down a little bit. Typically, we come here with the suit jackets and the button-up shirts and occasionally the tie as well. And we figured, hey, it's Sunday NFL football. It's Week 17. The playoffs are right around the corner, and we decided to throw on the jerseys. So speaking of the playoffs, Kyle, this is a massive game as far as playoff implications go. Today, a Buffalo win gets them the 2 seed, or a Pittsburgh loss also gives Buffalo the 2 seed. And for Miami, it's pretty much win or go home. A win today gives them a shot at the NFL playoffs, and a loss, they would have to have the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, or the Indianapolis Colts take a loss as well in order to get in. So it's win or go home for Miami, and we're underway in Orchard Park, New York, as this kick goes out of the back of the end zone. And here's Josh Allen. He'll start today's game, 300-plus passing yards, 34 touchdown passes. Kyle, tell me about Josh Allen. Weren't sure if he was going to start today, but here he is.
Yeah, obviously, I think it's a good move to have Allen in. If you really want to clinch that second seed, it's kind of pivotal to have this guy healthy and playing throughout the entire game. As looks like they're running a little trick play here, him running out wide.
On the first play of the game, a little bit of wildcat here. Devin Singletary takes the direct snap, runs it up the middle, and he'll get about 4, maybe 5. Josh Allen was lined up like a receiver to the right side, and again, maybe trying to get him as least touches as possible while still allowing him to run this offense. He was completely out of the way. No need to block, anything like that, and you'd love to do that when this is an MVP caliber quarterback making a run for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's really blossomed this year. He's become so much more athletic, not afraid to run the ball, and he can really throw it downfield. So certainly a guy to worry about here on this Bills offense.
Second down and 5 for Buffalo from their own 30-yard line. Isaiah McKenzie is in motion here. Josh Allen drops back. Play action fake to Singletary. Strike up the middle. John Brown has it complete. A first down and give him 2 more yards as well. So it's good for them to have smoked John Brown back. He was injured for quite a lengthy amount of time, but now back in for the Buffalo Bills just in time for playoffs. And Kyle, one of the missing pieces to this Buffalo Bills offense, Cole Beasley, goes down with an injury late on Monday Night Football last week against the New England Patriots. Not ideal if you're Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw him limp off the field very unfortunately last week, and maybe John Brown will replace that type of production. And, with that being said, it's going to be huge for Josh Allen to make sure he can convert on third downs, especially without the best slot receiver in the NFL in Cole Beasley. So we'll see how Josh Allen will get around that.
This pass complete to Isaiah McKenzie on the left side, and he'll get himself about 6. It'll be second down and 4 for Buffalo. 13:25 left. 0-0 still our score here in Orchard Park at the newly named Bills Stadium. It was Ralph Wilson Stadium. Then it was New Era Field. Now it's back to just good old Bills Stadium until they tack another sponsor on there. That's how that kind of stuff works, Kyle. What is the game plan for Miami coming to this game, knowing the stipulations, trying to get their first playoff win since the year 2000 They really want to push forward. They want to make a run for the playoffs. And after this play, I'm going to ask you about that. But for now, it's a handoff to the left side. Singletary stumbles a little bit and he'll lose yardage. Tackled behind the line of scrimmage by a swarm of Dolphins, Kyle. And that's what they want to do on defense today.
Yeah, the rushing defense will look solid today. But more importantly, back to that question about how they'll find their way into the playoffs and what they need to do today in order to do that. Obviously, with Tua in and Fitzpatrick out, the offense isn't going to be as sporadic or chaotic as usual. We run a really conservative offense, but it's really just important for Tua to get downfield and the best secondary in the NFL and Byron Jones and Xavier Howard to really hold them within this game.
3rd down and 4 for Buffalo. They're over 50%, leading the NFL in 3rd down percentage conversions. 12-14 left on the clock. 3rd down and 4. Allen drops back. Pressure coming. Lets a ball fly to the right side. It's complete. Stephon Diggs. And he goes across the line to gain. 1st down for Buffalo. Just shy of the 50-yard line. Down at about the 47. Tackle on the play by Kyle Van Noy. But not enough because it's a 1st down Buffalo.
Yeah, Van Noy should be quicker than that, kind of leaving him open. And, of course, Byron Jones coming in there for the tackle. Uncharacteristic of Byron Jones, too. He's usually a guy that can stick right with his receivers, even guys like Stephon Diggs. So we'll have to see how Byron Jones and Xavier Howard play tonight.
1st down and 10 for Buffalo. It's going to be at the 48-yard line. Still in their own territory, man in motion to the left side. It's Smoke Brown. Josh Allen, play action fake, dropping back, and the pressure comes quickly. Sacked on the play by Needham and Van Stritzel. So double play that time for the Miami Dolphins. It's 2nd down and long now for Buffalo. How about that blitz from the linebackers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Van Ginkel is one of the better linebackers on this squad. He's kind of led it, him and Van Noy in the rushing defense. And, of course, like I said, our secondaries look solid. But that'll be huge tonight, especially with a guy like Josh Allen, who's not afraid to break out of the pocket, super athletic for a QB.
2nd down and very long for Buffalo now. 2nd and 21 to be exact. 10:55 left to play in the 1st quarter here. Josh Allen all alone in the backfield. 3 receivers to the right side, 2 of them to the left. Josh Allen dropping back. Plenty of time for now. Lets a pass fly to the left, and it is intercepted. The referees are waving it off. It sure looked like it was an interception for Miami. Josh Allen hasn't thrown many of those this season. But what a play by the Miami defense breaking on the ball, Marchak.
And he might have had that. It looks like his feet were in. I mean, at the end of the day, Xavier Howard's one of the most athletic cornerbacks in the NFL, reaching toe drag at the end, but I don't think they'll have to turn this over. That was Byron Jones, excuse me. But again, some of the best secondaries you'll see here on both squads, but of course the Dolphins, that's kind of what they lean on. Brian Flores is a more of a defensive type of coach, a guy who's in the running for Coach of the Year. Obviously, he's done a great job with Tua Tagovailoa, who's found his fair share of yards in his starts, but again, Miami's challenging this. This might go their way, Gio.
Oh, yeah, the challenge flag. And just looking at it again, it looks like Byron Jones toe taps. I'm going to call that an interception. They'll obviously take a look and talk to the rule experts at the NFL headquarters, but I'm going to count that as an interception in my book, Marchak, and I think you're right.
Yeah, Byron Jones, super athletic play right there with the toe drag at the end. And, as a receiver or a cornerback, you really have to, be able to do that play. We've seen Tony toe taps kind of made it a thing in the past few years. And that's a huge play right there for the Dolphins. Again, I mean, conversions on 2nd and 3rd downs, if they're able to hinder that and, hinder that rushing offense as well with Allen and Singletary out of the backfield, I think the Dolphins will find themselves staying in this game. And right off the bat, we're seeing the secondary do their job.
Oh, and this game was close earlier in the season when these two teams faced off. It was down in Miami. The Bills ended up pulling away late, but what a close game it was. And you expect nothing less now. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins without Ryan Fitzpatrick, who played in that game earlier this season. COVID-19 protocols. He tests positive for COVID-19. Luckily, the game still able to take place here today. But Ryan Fitzpatrick not in the equation for the Miami Dolphins. Doesn't even make the trip to Orchard Park, New York. So you've seen the Miami Dolphins do that, right? Tua might struggle a little bit, and then they bring Ryan Fitzpatrick in, and he seems to have been there to save the day, so to speak, for the Miami Dolphins. How do you think they're going to have to adjust today without Ryan Fitzmagic, as they like to call him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Fitzpatrick is more of a guy who can really get it downfield. He's not afraid to get trick plays going. He's obviously more of a chaotic quarterback, just to describe him briefly. And with that being said, obviously, Tua doesn't have the same type of arm as Fitzpatrick, but he can run it a little bit. He's a guy that's not afraid to range out of the pocket, and that's just fine with me, considering that Miami doesn't have a real strong offensive line, although they've had their fair share of good games. So with that being said, Tua's, going to be a guy that can't be afraid to really get the ball downfield. That's another key to the game is, will he get downfield? If he's able to really get those points up, even in this first drive, which is so pivotal to setting the tone of this game, I think the Dolphins will stay in it against Buffalo.
The first time around for these two teams was September 20th, 2020. The Buffalo Bills won that one in a tight one, 31-28. That was in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. Now they're playing at Bill Stadium in Orchard Park for the second time this season, Kyle. And the writing seems to be on the wall that these two teams are becoming the predominant leaders in the AFC East. And the New England Patriots on a decline. The New York Jets, arguably the worst team in the NFL up to this point. And then you have the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, two possibly playoff teams. The Miami Dolphins come in at 10-5, can finish no worse than 10-6 here. With a win today, they'd get themselves in the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills obviously sit at 12-3 in the driver's seat of the AFC alongside the Kansas City Chiefs. But these two teams headlining the AFC East, just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ever since Tom Brady left, the tables have really flipped.
I couldn't agree with you more. Gene Steratore, the NFL rules expert analyst, calls it an interception, and the referees agree. So now Miami takes over after the Josh Allen interception, and it's going to be in Buffalo territory at the 41-yard line. Handoff up the middle, and gaining about 4 that time is going to be Myles Gaskin for the Miami Dolphins, and it'll be second down and medium.
Yeah, the Dolphins, with Tua Tagovailoa, of course, a guy, like I said, that isn't going to have a huge arm just yet, being a rookie in the NFL, runs a really conservative offense. And that's kind of a change both with Tua Tagovailoa's limits as an athlete, and of course, Brian Flores, a guy who's in the running for Coach of the Year. He's totally flipped Miami's offense.
Tua Tagovailoa in the shotgun now. Handoff up the middle, play action fake. Tua, he's going to be able to hit the tight end this time. Gesicki's going to gain his way a first down and more. And excuse me, that wasn't Gesicki on the catch. They're running a 2 tight end set right now in Miami. And there's an injured Buffalo Bills player on the field. This is exactly what Buffalo wants to avoid as they seek the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're hit hard last week with Cole Beasley out in the middle of the game, one of the best slot receivers in the NFL, undeniably, and a guy they go to for third downs, as we see the tight end for the Dolphins getting hit real hard there, and that's how the man went down. But, you hate to see that for the Bills. They really need to take every guy they can, obviously trying to clinch that second seed in the NFC or the AFC, excuse me. So that'll be pivotal to this game. You never know. Any injury that goes down this game will be interesting to see. We already have a lack of depth on Miami for the quarterback position. Our third string quarterback, who I'll have to find the name of later, is out. And right now, Lynn Bowden Jr., who was a practice squad wide receiver, is listed as our backup quarterback behind Tua Tagovailoa. So that'll be very important to make sure that Tua stays safe today as well.
Yeah, Taron Johnson comes in contact with Matt Milano, a little bit of friendly fire. He just goes in shoulder first and basically injures himself trying to make the tackle. Milano got up a little bit slow, took a tough shoulder pad to the hip. He seems to be okay, though, walking off the field. But Taron Johnson, before the commercial break, was still down on the field. Key piece to the Buffalo Bills secondary. And like we said, this is exactly what Buffalo is trying to avoid. You see it in Pittsburgh, the Steelers pretty much playing most of their substitutes. And talking about the playoff picture, the Miami Dolphins, it's a win today, or Baltimore, Cleveland, or Indianapolis. One of those 3 teams have to lose. Well, the problem with that is all 3 of those teams are 10 or more point favorites in the spread going into these Week 17 matchups, Kyle. So really, it takes a miracle if Miami can't pull it off today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting play to see occur. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, there's 4 teams fighting for those wild card spots, those new wild card spots set out by the NFL this year. And obviously Miami, we have the Browns, Ravens, and Colts, as you said. And out of those 4 teams, Miami is the only team that has a shot of genuinely losing today with only a spread of plus 3.5 favorite over Buffalo. So obviously Buffalo's going to, or at least statistically, they're supposed to stay in this game with Miami, if not win it. And obviously they have the better of the talent offensively and perhaps defensively on some guys, especially in your rushing defense. So with that being said, the odds are really against Miami's favors here. And so we're really going to have to get this win today, or if not, we're screwed. Obviously with Pittsburgh is our best shot to take over the Browns today. And if they do that, we are in with a 10-6 record, mind you. But of course, Pittsburgh resting their guys today. And like you said, 10+ point favorite for the Browns tonight. So a lot of stuff to look at. And that's a part of the chaos of week 17, looking at these playoff scenarios, Gio.
You got to love it. You got to love week 17 in the NFL. A couple of years ago, it was Buffalo that needed a miracle. They had to win on the road at Miami. Matter of fact, they had to win on the road at Miami. And then they had to have the Baltimore Ravens lose to the Cincinnati Bengals on 4th and 17. It was a huge play for Andy Dalton and the Bengals offense. 50+ yards, touchdown to the house. Cincinnati ends up winning it, and the Bills go to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. Nonetheless, here are the Miami Dolphins back on the field. Gaskin handoff up the middle, and it's going to be 2nd down and 5. A look at Tua Tagovailoa, completion percentage 65%, 1,453 passing yards, 10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions ratioed on the year. And on the other side, his counterpart, Josh Allen, having himself an MVP season, 4,320 yards. Now, Tua hasn't played nearly as many snaps as his counterpart. 2nd down and 5. Here he is in the shotgun. 2 receivers to the right side, 1 man to the left. Ball snap. Tua tries to get a wide receiver screen to the right side. Some clear miscommunication. This pass sails way out of bounds, nowhere near the wide receiver. It'll be 3rd down, Kyle. Just a little bit of miscommunication on that play.
Yeah, Tua left-handed, so he wasn't afraid to rope it to his right side real quick. But of course, wide receiver screen, just seems Davis wasn't prepared for it. But again, Tua threw that wide. But at the same time, if you noticed, your guys' secondary came in real quick on that. I think they read that play really well. So again, not a bad idea to throw that ball away at the end of the day. If Davis really does pick up that catch, how hard would he get hit afterwards? So just some small things to notice on that screenplay right there.
Empty set backfield. That means Buffalo's going to blitz. Here comes Tremaine Edmonds, and he swallows up the rookie quarterback. Tremaine Edmonds out of Virginia Tech University just a couple of years ago comes in for the sack on the Alabama man Tua Tagovailoa. And on 3rd down, the Bills pass rush comes up big. They sent the house with an empty backfield, Kyle. What a play out of this Buffalo defense.
Yeah, no, that's a great play right there, and huge, especially as Tua's edging himself into the red zone right now. So, they might have to settle for this field goal, a decent distance. But of course, Sanders, a real solid kicker. Last week against Las Vegas, he clutched it with a 44-yarder to keep Dolphins' playoff hopes alive.
He's 34 for 37 on the year. 56 is his longest. This one is up to the left side and good. No problem that time for Sanders. And the Miami Dolphins tack on the first score of today's game. 3-0 with 8:07 left to play. And it was Sanders from deep hitting that field goal. Tua couldn't avoid the sack, a little bit of miscommunication, but his kicker was there to bail him out, and Miami takes an early lead. That's what they need to do today to jump out on one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, the offensive line will have to do better next time around. Like I said, pretty much the only weakness, or obvious weakness at least, on this Dolphins squad. Brian Flores has done a great job in setting up the defense and figuring out ways to really play Tua and Fitzpatrick in kind of a double-headed quarterback position. Of course, like we said, Fitzpatrick out with COVID, unfortunately, this week. So Tua has a lot of pressure on his shoulders and clearly too much to handle sometimes with the offensive line really crashing on him. And the Bills, of course, with Tremaine Edmonds and guys like Matt Milano, will kind of capitalize in those situations often with those aggressive blitz. Very aggressive squad you have there in Buffalo, Gio.
Absolutely, Kyle. Let's talk a little bit about the NFL draft picture. Coming up on April 29th is the scheduled date for the NFL draft. Now, a lot of speculation has been stirring around the media of the NFL and college football that after that performance in the college football playoff semifinal in the Sugar Bowl that Justin Fields put on, you're talking almost 400 yards. You're talking 6 passing touchdowns, just an absolute onslaught from Justin Fields. They're saying that he could possibly edge out Trevor Lawrence for the first overall pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. What are your thoughts on that? I think it's crazy. I think it's one game. I think that, Trevor Lawrence has been looked at as this ideal pro quarterback with his size, with his height, What are your thoughts on everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, QBs are highly sought for in the draft year after year. It's kind of the way the NFL works. I honestly, personally, I have Trevor Lawrence still out on top over guys like Sewell and, other tackles and stuff like that. Justin Fields is still ranked as the 9th possible pick in the ESPN mock draft. Trevor Lawrence on top, quickly followed by Penei Sewell, as I said, a tackle. So it'll be an interesting picture. Obviously, a lot of guys in the Heisman picture, like you said, that wide receiver Devontae Smith, a guy to look out for, as we mentioned that earlier. So it's going to be interesting. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, it's just one game. It was certainly a crazy one. Lawrence, a guy who's usually consistently successful, obviously 11-0 going into that game. So a lot to look at with that draft. And I think it'll be one of the strongest ones yet.
And how about Devontae Smith from Alabama? He would be the first wide receiver to win the Heisman Trophy since 1991 when Desmond Howard won it. Look at his stats so far this year: 105 receptions, 1,641 yards, 20 touchdowns for the wide receiver from Louisiana. Absolutely incredible for Alabama. And the other front runners for the Heisman, the 4 finalists, it's Devontae Adams, it's Trevor Lawrence, it's Mac Jones, the quarterback at Alabama that Devontae Smith catches all his balls from. And then, of course, you have Kyle Trask from Florida. So interesting to see how all that plays out. And we're back here in Orchard Park as Andre Roberts takes this kick return and in a burst of speed across the 24, give him nearly the 25-yard line. And excuse me, Andre Roberts not back deep today. They're saving him for, obviously, the playoff picture, a Pro Bowl caliber return man in the special teams unit, first-team Pro Bowler. And they have Isaiah McKenzie back there returning the kicks. That was his first one of the day, and he takes it about 24 yards to start this drive for Josh Allen.
Yeah, Isaiah McKenzie, another guy like John Brown, who will probably replace the production of Cole Beasley, who's out on injury this week. He's certainly another quick guy to go to. And like you said, a ton of receivers in the air that Josh Allen will find tonight.
Handoff up the middle for Buffalo. It's Zach Moss, the rookie out of Utah. He gains 3 or 4. It'll be second down. 7:51 left to play. Miami leads it 3-0 if you're just tuning in. And it was an interception for Josh Allen early in the game, and it led to the Miami field goal.
Yeah, perhaps they're resting Singletary as well out of the backfield because I believe Moss has gotten all the touches. As you said, there's 2 guys that they can go to in the backfield, Moss and Singletary, both very successful rushers. I think Singletary is the leading rusher on your squad. Of course, Josh Allen, they got to look at too, is not afraid to break out of the pocket.
Pressure coming for Allen. Lets a pass go to the right side, complete to Zach Moss. Moss rumbling his way forward. Across the 40-yard line goes Zach Moss on the right side. It's a first down and much more for Buffalo, and Zach Moss did that with his legs.
Oh, yeah. Van Ginkel is a pretty big linebacker, and to see him get trucked by a smaller guy like Moss says a lot about his strength. And a lot of guys are like that on this Bills squad, super aggressive, super strong, and super quick. So certainly a lot of guys to worry about in this Bills offense.
6:50 left to go. First down and 10 for Buffalo, and they're now driving. Josh Allen, 4 for 5, 32 yards, and an interception. Not his best outgoing early on in this game. And they're at their own 41-yard line. Handoff up the middle. First down. Here is Zach Moss once again, and this time nowhere to go, maybe 2. It'll be second down and 8.
Yeah, perhaps both teams kind of going to their rushers. Obviously, Myles Gaskin has gotten plenty of touches in that previous drive to start off for Miami following that Byron Jones interception, and Moss getting a lot of touches here on this big drive as Allen continues to get downfield.
Second down and 8. 6:12 left to go here for Buffalo. Josh Allen dropping back in the shotgun. Pressure's coming from his right side. Delivers a pass up the middle, and this one falls incomplete. It was intended for the tight end, Dawson Knox, who was tightly covered, and over his head it went. Baker in the backfield. And again, you talked about it, Kyle, that pesky secondary out of the Miami Dolphins. They've already struck once against Josh Allen, almost did it twice.
Oh, yeah, Baker, another guy to worry about, one of our safeties. And, of course, we have Bobby McCain, one of the best safeties in the division. So, really, I'm not sure if you'll see a ton of slant routes or really just passes up the middle in general because every time you throw it up there, it's going to be extremely dangerous with this secondary in Miami.
3rd and 8 now for Buffalo. They loom nearing midfield this time. It's going to be from their own 43-yard line. Here's Josh Allen in the shotgun. Isaiah McKenzie to his right. And it looks like we have a stoppage of play, a flag, most likely a false start against Buffalo, the way that Josh Allen is shaking his head. and a timeout called by Buffalo as well. Not sure exactly what's taking place here, but there is a stoppage of play, a timeout for Buffalo. Josh Allen puts the trench coat back on. I don't think that signifies that he's done. I think maybe he's just trying to keep warm throughout the timeout, but at the same time, once you see him do that, his day could be over as well. Again, they're trying to save him for the playoffs, but he also would love to come out and make a statement for the MVP race. Right now, it pretty much stands that Aaron Rodgers is the front runner. Mahomes probably at number 2 and Josh Allen at number 3. So here come the Bills. A big 3rd down and 8 here because if Miami can get the ball back and score, they could really start to dig into a little bit of a lead here. 6:05 left to go. The Bills from their own 44-yard line. 3rd down and 8. 6:05 left to go. Josh Allen in the shotgun. Zach Moss in the backfield to his left side. Miami showing complete blitz, and they do. Pressure coming on Josh Allen. Lets a pass sail. Deep, intended for Dawson Knox, and not really close. Over the head of Dawson Knox. Knox couldn't quite get there, and Buffalo's going to be forced to punt this ball away, Marchak.
Yeah, Finn's maybe seeing that play coming. Byron Jones playing a deep zone in that play, and Knox ended up getting the matchup with him. And obviously, Knox being one of your guys' tight ends, perhaps not one of the guys that'll really beat Byron Jones with speed. And Jones, a guy who can really stick with his players whenever he needs to. So that play would have been tough either way.
Fourth down and 8 here. Corey Bojorquez has surprised a lot of Buffalo fans this season. And that's one thing they won't have to look for in the offseason is a new punter. This one, a good one, just a little bit too far and deep. It goes out of the back of the end zone, and the Miami Dolphins will start with it at their own 25-yard line. Here comes the rookie quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. 5:50 left to go. Dolphins lead it 3-0. So, Kyle, it's been a little bit exciting, but my biggest question throughout all of this, last week, there was some comparison between the New England game and the Buffalo game, who had the best hair. Kyle Van Ginkel with that long blonde hair, and then Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley not active today. Who's got the better hair, Beasley or Van Ginkel?
Well, I think that question is just unfair because they pretty much have the same head of hair, both of them with beautiful blonde locks, and they're both curly. But, I'll probably have to give it to Van Ginkel, not because I'm biased. Okay, probably because I'm biased. But, I mean, look at Van Ginkel. He's just the larger man. I think if they went at it in some sort of matchup, I think Van Ginkel would walk away victorious. And because of that, I'm going to have to give that contest to him.
Just reading, Kyle, I usually don't pay too much attention to some of the comments, but we have a commenter here who's very invested, and we love to see it. They say, thanks for hosting the program. They're new to YouTube. This is their first time checking out one of our live streams. So we say welcome. And they say that they would take Andre Cisco early in the first round if they were a GM now. So probably a Syracuse fan. And I personally love that. I don't know if he will go in the first round, but I think Andre Cisco's a baller. And I would just love to see a Syracuse guy go in the first round for the first time in a while. Probably a second rounder, and the injury kind of hampers things a little bit as well. Your thoughts on Andre Cisco and what he's brought to the Syracuse program?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was literally just about to mention kind of a dynamic between the Dolphins defense and offense and how that plays into the way that Syracuse kind of ran their program. Obviously not as much success as they wanted this past season, but, one of the struggles you and I noticed calling a lot of Syracuse football games is that their defense capitalizes and their offense can't use that momentum. And I really want to see Miami be able to kind of use their secondary's momentum into their offense. And so with guys like Andre Cisco on the Syracuse squad, I mean, he had so much talent. Of course, he only lasted so long in the season until that unfortunate injury, but he's one of the better, I believe he's a cornerback or a safety. I know he's in the secondary. I apologize for not knowing exactly which position, but just a super athletic guy. And with that being said, I know, on ESPN, he's drafted as a guy who's an early rounder as well. So I can't help but somewhat agree with what he's saying.
Yeah, absolutely. He asked if Devin Singletary is playing today. Yes, he took the first snap of the game. Actually, it was a wildcat formation, run up the middle. And he says he bets his entire stimulus check that Singletary scores a touchdown today. So that sounds risky. And I'm hoping for you that Singletary scores one as well. But we're back to football. Miami Dolphins clinch a playoff berth with a win today over Buffalo. They hold a 3-0 lead. 5:50 left to go. And it looks like there's a false start against Miami to get things going on this drive.
Yeah, small things on both sides that we've seen so far. I mean, perhaps a false start we saw in Buffalo. If not, I may be mistaken. But, stuff like that. Smythe, one of our better slot receivers, just a guy you can't afford to have do that stuff. We have so many different guys we can go to. And, when we have players just making small mistakes like that, it's not going to help our momentum for obvious reasons.
First down and 15 for Tua Tagovailoa, Devontae Parker in motion, and you love to see that name out there if you're a Miami fan. Been absent for a couple of weeks, and the first pass nearly completed to Parker, but hitting the deck was Tua Tagovailoa on that throw. It's going to be second down and 15. Josh Norman looming in coverage for Buffalo, and second down we go.
Yeah, Norman's been trusty at that position pretty much all season for you guys in Buffalo. And good to see Devontae Parker in. He wasn't listed as active right up until today, I believe. And so it's good to see him back from his injury. I think this is his first game back in a few weeks for sure. Our leading receiver, of course, we don't have a super top-heavy receiving team. We like to use Gaskin as much as possible and kind of split the touches between a lot of different guys. So good to see there.
Pressure coming for Buffalo. It's a screen to the running back, Myles Gaskin, and he's able to gain his way forward for a gain of maybe 1 or 2. It'll be third down and 9. So actually that's a big burst because it set him back. They originally lost 5 yards. So he's actually able to gain about 6 there past the original marker line where the line of scrimmage was before the penalty. So third down and 9 for Miami, still deep in their own territory. This ball's spotted at the 21-yard line. In the shotgun is Tua Tagovailoa. Gaskin to his left side. 2 receivers to the left. Buffalo showing heavy pressure. Tagovailoa lets a pass fly, complete to Parker on the right sideline. And Buffalo says he's short of the first down. He's right around the chain. Kyle, this one really comes down to the spot. I think where he catches it and where he goes out of bounds are 2 different spots. This is a close one.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much catches it coming forward right on the spot. He had possession. It seemed like past the 10-yard spot, but of course it goes down to where the ball is spotted by the referee. So we'll have to see. This is going to be an interesting one again. Every third down conversion we can get will be important, but it looks like they're listing it at 4th and 1, so just short.
4th and 1, and Brian Flores already with a 3-point lead, doesn't want to get any kind of momentum taken out of their sails. They're going to punt this ball away to Buffalo, and Hawk is the one sending it deep out of Arizona State University. This one goes past the 40-yard line, out of bounds at the 38. That's where Josh Allen and Buffalo will take over. So not the greatest of punts that we've seen. Josh Allen still in the game for Buffalo, but minimal production so far today. Wonder if the conservative play calling is a factor for Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator, just trying to keep his quarterback healthy. It's a 3-0 lead for Miami, 4:12 left to go. Miami still hanging on to that 3-0 lead, Kyle.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting about Week 17 and even Week 16 games is teams that are still fighting for playoff spots are going to face some of those top dogs like the Steelers I mentioned facing the Browns. And the Steelers pretty much just decided to, give the fate of the Browns into their hands. And, they said, you know what, maybe we'll toss the Browns the win, knowing that they're not going to play some players. The Dolphins are 3.5-point favorite, knowing that the Bills are, not playing some of their key defensive players. So again, just top dogs deciding the fate of some of their playoff foes.
First down and 10 for Buffalo. It's Isaiah McKenzie on a jet sweep, showing a burst of speed, breaking a tackle, and knocked out of bounds after gaining 4. Be second down for Buffalo, 4:05 left to go. And that was a nice burst of speed out of Isaiah McKenzie. One thing that I'm noticing, Kyle, Buffalo really utilizing guys that they might not necessarily always utilize. I mean, you're talking John Brown. He's now back. Isaiah McKenzie getting more burn than typical. They've targeted Dawson Knox. They're not necessarily going to Diggs and Beasley like they normally do, possibly trying to keep those guys healthy. Always, or obviously, Beasley not in the game, but just something to note. Second down and 7, 3:38 left to go. Handoff up the middle. It's Devin Singletary gaining his way for 3. It'll be third down and medium.
So Moss, Singletary, and McKenzie all getting touches out of the backfield now, just as you mentioned, getting burn in some guys that they don't necessarily use all the time. I think it's smart to see Singletary not getting a ton of touches. Obviously, at the running back position, you're more prone to being injured, a really rough position to play in football, of course, especially with guys like Christian Wilkins just being shown on defense for the Miami Dolphins. So, it's good to make sure that guys are getting the rest, even if they still want to clinch that second seed spot in the AFC.
Third down and 4, 3 minutes exactly on the clock and counting. Josh Allen in the shotgun, trip stacked to the left side. That's where Allen's looking. Pressure coming, trying to escape it. Lets one fly deep and over the head of Stephon Diggs. It goes out of bounds. Fourth down for Buffalo. And really unable to get anything going offensively are the Buffalo Bills. This Miami defense is proven to be pesky.
Yeah, I mean, holding teams to less than 20 points per game, they lead the NFL in that statistic. So clearly, statistically speaking, one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the NFL. And, I'd like to credit that to Brian Flores. He's totally changed the defense and offensive setup ever since he came in.
Corey Bojorquez, his first punt went for 57. This one looks like it'll go just inbounds at the 1 yard line. Give him half of that. What a punt out of Corey Bojorquez. It'll be at the half-yard line, just towards the pylon. Absolutely incredible pinpoint accuracy. What a punt out of Corey Bojorquez, Kyle. It's going to be tough field position for the Miami Dolphins.
I mean, that's pretty much as good as it gets. You see it bounce literally right next to the pylon, but out of bounds. That's a great punt right there. And honestly, Perry, I don't know what he was thinking there. If it's anywhere near the sideline, just pick it up and get going with it. And, he's not usually our punt receiver. Of course, Jakeem Grant out with an ankle injury. He's another key player, our top slot receiver, and a guy we get out of the backfield as well. Just kind of a flex receiver for us. He gets a lot of burn. He's definitely one of the better punt and kick receivers in the AFC East. So it's unfortunate to see him out. And with that, we're seeing those problems occur with guys like Perry under the punt. And, you can't afford to have stuff like that occur for obvious reasons.
And one thing that just kind of occurs in my brain a little bit that could be a factor as to why the Bills are struggling a little bit offensively is maybe they're trying to save some things, because there is still a scenario where the Bills could actually play next week against Miami in the same stadium in Orchard Park in a playoff game in the wild card next week if Miami were to win today. So obviously, you don't want to put all your cards out there for a game that doesn't matter as much if you're Buffalo, and maybe you want to save some things for the playoffs, just some food for thought. Obviously, Miami, a phenomenal defense, but the Bills' struggles have been real offensively thus far. I mean, they haven't crossed midfield yet, and that's very unlike Buffalo, especially after winning so many games in a row up to this point, all in blowout fashion. Maybe they're trying to hold some cards close to their chest and save some things for a possible identical matchup next week. Kyle, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but agree that it's, despite facing the best defense in the NFL, it's kind of uncharacteristic of Josh Allen and his offense not to be scoring early, especially if we're walking away scoreless in this first quarter. That is very uncharacteristic of the Bills. And I wouldn't help but agree to say that perhaps they are saving him and the rest of his offense. He's a guy who scored touchdowns with, I believe you said, up to 13 different receivers. Mm-hmm. And so that's almost an NFL record. He's certainly a guy that could make that happen today for all we know. But of course, it's not looking like it against this Miami secondary. So at the end of the day, my point being, I'd like to believe that it is the Miami secondary that's holding him back. But I know Josh Allen is fully capable, especially with guys who are leading NFL receivers like Stephon Diggs, who can really create space down the field.
Absolutely. That was a big boot out of Corey Bojorquez with 2:40 left. Miami's going to start way deep in their own territory, backed up against the end zone at the half-yard line. Absolutely incredible punt by Corey Bojorquez. First and 10, 2:40 left to go. Tua Tagovailoa directly under center. Probably expect a quarterback sneak up the middle, and that's what it'll be. Tua lunging his way forward for probably a yard, maybe two, giving Miami a little bit of breathing room here. It'll be second down and 9, still backed up pretty deep against that end zone. Buffalo, 15 offensive plays. Miami, 9 offensive plays. 25 total yards, 37 for Buffalo, 25 for Miami. 2:12 left to go, second down and 9. From their own 2-yard line for Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins. Tua in the shotgun, Gesicki in motion on the left side. Handoff up the middle to Gaskin. Gaskin gets tripped up real close to that end zone. He'll lose a yard, taken down at the 1-yard line. It'll be third down for Buffalo. And Kyle, you have to expect a blitz here if you're Miami.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely expect that. We know that guys like Tagovailoa are kind of hesitant to really get the ball downfield. We've been going to Gaskin all night, so I'm not surprised to see a blitz there, and kind of the perfect time to do it. Almost getting wrapped up for a safety, and it would certainly be interesting to see a 3-2 scoreboard going into the second quarter.
3rd down and 10 for Miami. 1:26 left to go on the game clock in the first quarter. Gesicki in motion. Tagovailoa play action fake, pressure coming, gets the pass off to the right side. It's going to be a gain of about 7 for Miami to Bowden Jr., but they're going to be forced to punt this thing on 4th down and 3. Tackle on the play by Tremaine Edmonds. That's risky. A play action backed up deep in your own end zone. What a play call by Brian Flores. You know, they don't get the first down, but when you're talking play action, that's seconds ticked away. And Buffalo is showing a lot of pressure. I think they're lucky to even escape that without a safety.
Yeah, honestly, I was looking for Parker to be targeted downfield. It's kind of a play where you can just burn it. He's a guy who has great breakout speed as Hawk gets the punt away. Let's see if this one's better.
And not really. This punt is going to go down right at the 50-yard line. So not an optimal punt for the Miami Dolphins either. That's back-to-back punts that Brian Flores can't be too happy with out of Hawk. And Josh Allen's going to take this thing at midfield for the first time this game. This is as far as the Bills have gotten offensively.
Yeah, I mean, even just with a starting position at the 50-yard line, I imagine this is the drive where Josh Allen really tries to break out, showing off the arm and the athleticism. I think now's the time to separate and ensure the fact that they'll have a lead going into the second quarter with 30 seconds to go. This is a great time for Allen to really get the ball downfield.
From the 50, 28 seconds left in the first quarter, 1st down and 10. Play action fake. Josh Allen surveying the field. Lets one rip to the right side, complete to Stephon Diggs, who leads the NFL in receptions and yards. Tack on a little bit more there. 2nd down and 5 it will be for Buffalo. But the best duo in the National Football League, arguably, hit for another completion there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just something that Miami lacks. Obviously, Devontae Parker, our leading receiver, and he does not have staggering numbers. And neither does Tua Tagovailoa, our backup quarterback as we saw Bowden Jr. getting some burn in that previous play and with Miami on offense, and he's listed as our backup quarterback. So it's going to be an interesting game, to say the least, as we go into the second quarter, Gio.
Yeah, Josh Allen under center, just simply trying to catch Miami to jump off sides. Rarely works. Obviously, that's what you have to expect on the defensive side, and no action either way. So that will take us to the conclusion of the first quarter. Buffalo trailing by 3. Miami leads at 3-0 after 1. It's been a good game, back and forth. Minimal offensive production, to say the least. It's been a defensive football game throughout the first quarter, Marchak.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Dolphins with one of the best defenses in the NFL, and you can give that to guys like Van Ginkel for the rushing defense, and of course Byron Jones and Xavier Howard with Bobby McCain in the backfield as a safety are guys that you can kind of credit the best secondary to, of course. And with that being said, of course, Buffalo with some very solid guys like Tre'Davious White on defense, so 2 very good defenses facing each other. And obviously with Allen, who's such a star on the offensive side of the ball, you would think this would just be a top-heavy offensive game. But at the end of the day, the defense is really clashing heads here.
And after 1 quarter, it's a 3-0 lead for Miami, Kyle. And just looking at the entire playoff picture, again, just to remind everybody, a win today for Miami would be a appearance in the playoffs for the first time in a while if you're the Miami Dolphins, seeking their first playoff win for the first time since the year 2000. And if they lose to the Buffalo Bills today, the situation would be that Baltimore, Cleveland, or Indianapolis would have to lose today. Now, all 3 of those teams are favored by 10 or more points in the spread. So it gets risky if you can't win this game against Buffalo, to say the least. Buffalo trying to seal up that 2 seed in the AFC playoffs. And in order to do that, they need a win today, or they need Pittsburgh to lose to Cleveland. So really, it's fairly likely that Buffalo gets that 2 seed, because Cleveland is a favorite against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh not playing any of their starters for the most part today. You're not going to see Ben today. You're going to see Rudolph taking the snaps under center for Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's likely that the Bills get the 2 seed regardless. If you're Miami, you really need to win this football game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd like to go to the other playoff scenarios where the Dolphins lose and somehow the Browns, the Ravens, and the Colts either or all walk away with a loss. We only need one of those teams to lose, of course. Pittsburgh facing the Browns is kind of our best shot. And again, you mentioned the Browns favored by 10 plus points in the spread, whereas Miami only favored by 3.5 going into this game.
Absolutely. 2nd down and 5 as we begin the second quarter of action. Only 10 seconds left on the play clock for Josh Allen. He's all alone back there at the Miami 45-yard line. Ball snap. Josh Allen, pass complete left side. Devin Singletary near the chains. And wondering where they'll spot this thing. It looks like it's going to be a first down Buffalo. 14:48 left to go in the second, and it is. First down Buffalo. Pass complete from Josh Allen to Devin Singletary, and it was a good strike. Singletary really fighting for those extra yards, Marchak.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really gritty guy. You have a ton of guys in the backfield, even like Isaiah McKenzie, who's, I believe, only 5'10", 180 pounds, but super explosive, just really so gritty for every yard. Guys like Stephon Diggs, as we see there on that play wide, just edging away, getting close to that first down. Another guy who, despite being one of the best receivers in the NFL, tries to get as many yards after contact.
Josh Allen, that one was complete, as Marchak said, to Stephon Diggs. It was for 8. 3 receptions, 18 yards so far today for number 14 in blue. And to paint your picture a little bit, Buffalo wearing white helmets, blue jerseys, white pants. On the other side, it's Miami with white helmets, white jerseys, and green pants. And this one, a rip up the middle. Stephon Diggs, a big gainer, making a statement to be one of the best NFL wide receivers this season. Josh Allen doing the same at the quarterback spot. That one was seamless on the slant route. What a play between Allen and Diggs.
And that's what's so dangerous about Diggs is he lulls you to sleep with these dig routes and comeback routes, and then boom, slant up the middle, or boom, a post route. It's crazy. His breakout speed is so surprising every time.
Handoff right side. Zach Moss, the rookie, across the 10-yard line and taken down. Feliciano is down for Buffalo, and it looks like it could be another injury, but he does get up. A little bit of limping here for Feliciano, hoping he's okay. Again, Buffalo just wants to escape this game injury-free if possible. Still some limping for Feliciano, but he's in the play right now. 2nd down and 7, 12:59 left. Josh Allen rolling out, play action fake to the left side, surveying the field. Pressure coming, escapes 2. Look at Josh Allen use his legs. Tackled after gaining maybe 4. It'll be 3rd down for Buffalo. You don't want to see this kid run with it today because you don't want to see him take a hit. But that was some excellent work with the legs by Josh Allen.
And that's just a shame, especially for the fact that the offensive line completely collapses there on the Bills offense. And, you see Baker and other guys coming in, and they just totally let Allen fool them. Number 55, Baker, is one of our guys who really should be tackling a free quarterback 10 out of 10 times. And there, Josh Allen just slips away. Poor communication right there.
3rd down and 4 for Buffalo. 12:14 left to go. Josh Allen dropping back, sends one to the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo. Isaiah McKenzie. And he does the cha-cha slide in the back of the end zone. Josh Allen to Isaiah McKenzie for a strike. Buffalo takes the lead. 7-yard touchdown reception.
Yeah, that's a great slant route right there. Needham matched up with Isaiah McKenzie right there. Not one of our best cornerbacks on the squad, and really a guy who should stick with his receivers. But like I said, not the strongest cornerback we have there. And so not surprising to see a guy with speed like Isaiah McKenzie breaking away on that slant route. A great connection right there, from Josh Allen to Isaiah McKenzie.
McKenzie with his 4th receiving touchdown of the year. That one 7 plays, 50-yard drive as the PAT for Tyler Bass is up and good. 7-3 is the lead for Buffalo as they strike back against the Miami Dolphins. It was 7 yards to Isaiah McKenzie, and it's a lead for the Buffalo Bills. So now if you're the Miami Dolphins, you obviously come back with a response, and that one can be pinned against Hawk with the poor punting, giving Buffalo excellent field position to start at the 50-yard line midfield. Now, if you're coming out as the Miami Dolphins, you'd have to think they just want to stay poised, let Tua play his game, and let Buffalo's defense make the mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. You see kind of guys like Myles Gaskin getting plenty of touches, and it's kind of lulling the Bills offense to sleep. They're really good with their rushing defense. They've looked sharp. Even when they were the Dolphins were set up with a 1-yard start, Myles Gaskin got a couple touches and was almost taken down for a safety. So clearly Gaskin isn't going to perform as well as he wants to. A guy who's kind of smaller, definitely not a fullback. Like I said, just your average running back, about 5'10", 180 pounds, super quick. But coming out of the backfield up the middle, he's not going to get a ton of yards. So I think now's the time for Tua Tagovailoa to really show off his arm, get it downfield. We saw earlier he struggled to connect with guys he should be, like Devontae Parker. So perhaps his arm isn't feeling as good as it should. But again, he should get it downfield. And he does have a big arm. He just hasn't gotten the chance to show it off yet.
And I think if you're the Miami Dolphins, you have to start targeting Devontae Parker, getting him going. I mean, he's been absent from this Miami offense, and that can play a huge factor, more than someone would think. The fact that, you have a guy coming back into the rotation who's been out for a bit, though he's a key contributor, you have to really get him going again and get him back implemented to the offense. You have to think that they're going to try and target him a little bit more as this game progresses.
You're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, Devontae Parker coming back from a hamstring injury, listed as active today, and lucky enough, he is on the field for us. So a guy we should be looking forward to targeting downfield especially. But we still have guys like Mac Hollins, who had that huge reception last game against Las Vegas to put us within reach of that game-winning field goal. And, of course, Jakeem Grant Jr. is a guy we target often as well, also our punt and kick receiver. But he is out, leaving Malcolm Perry to be his backup. We saw how that went down last time in the most previous punt receiving. And, of course, we have Lynn Bowden Jr., another new and very quick wide receiver who, like I said, is listed as our backup quarterback tonight. So, like you said, a ton of different things to look at here for Dolphins.
And how about the tight end Mike Gesicki, 48 receptions, 656 yards, and 6 touchdowns on the year. Gesicki is a force out of Penn State, drafted in 2018 of the second round, and you have to think they'd get the big tight end going as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing about the Dolphins is they often play a double tight end formation with Durham Smith and Mike Gesicki. They really like playing Smith, despite Gesicki's numbers obviously standing out a lot more. And, of course, we have Adam Shakeen as our backup tight end. You don't see him getting a ton of touches, but another guy to go to. But, yeah, I mean, it's obvious that Gesicki, one of the better tight ends in the division, is going to get a lot of touches today, although we have yet to target him.
Absolutely. 7-3 is the lead for the Buffalo Bills. 12:09 left to go, and the kickoff is out of the back of the end zone. No return now for the Miami Dolphins, and Tua Tagovailoa and company will start this thing at the 25-yard line. It was a 7-yard touchdown reception to take the lead for Buffalo for Isaiah McKenzie from Josh Allen. Handoff up the middle, and a gain of about 4 this time for Miami. Different running back in the ball game right now, trying to catch a number, but you don't see Myles Gaskin taking the handoffs at the moment.
Yeah, we go to other guys like DeAndre Washington, Salvon Ahmed, and Patrick Laird was probably the face you saw there, although Salvon Ahmed gets plenty of touches out of the backfield when we need him. So a bunch of different faces we'll probably see here in the second quarter.
It looks like it is Salvon Ahmed. I see a 26, and he's going to get a play action fake. Hit to the left side of the tight end, and a big gainer now once again for the Miami Dolphins. The explosion of offense all of a sudden coming, and it was Adam Sheehan, the big gainer at the tight end spot. 6'7", 257, and a big play out of Sheehan in the Miami offense.
Yeah, well, speak of the devil, that dude rumbled as he got wide, and that's a huge play right there to get a big first down conversion. I love to see it right there. Our backup tight end getting some touches.
And out crossing the 50-yard line are the Dolphins into Buffalo territory, exactly from the 49. 1st and 10, 11:08 to go before the half. Tua Tagovailoa in the shotgun, claps his hands, handoff up the middle, and taken down right at the line to gain, going absolutely nowhere that time. It looked like it might have been Salvon Ahmed again, and it was. So that's a good play out of the Buffalo defense. Read that one the whole way, and Tua took a hit in the backfield as well after the handoff. It'll be 2nd and 10 right from the Buffalo 49 again for Miami. 10:37 left to go. Tua in the shotgun. Takes the fake. Play action. Looking deep. Tua decides to try and check down to Mike Gesicki and under through the route. Lucky Matt Milano wasn't there for an interception. It'll be 3rd down and 10 for Miami at this point.
Yeah, Matt Milano, super explosive and quick at his position. A guy who really closes in quick, especially on short routes like that to Gesicki. Not sure why Tua underthrew that. That's the second time I've seen him completely underthrow or really miss his targets. Like I said, not really a starting NFL quarterback yet. caliber quarterback, with his arm. There's just small things like that he'll have to fix, but he certainly has the athleticism and the raw ability to really find his way downfield. And I think eventually he'll fall into a rhythm soon enough.
Miami's 0 for 3 on third down so far today. And here they go once again. Here's a wide receiver screen to the right side. A gain of maybe 4, but Ed Oliver was there to make the tackle for Buffalo. And Hawk will come out to punt this thing away again. The Buffalo defense would not be fooled that time. And
yeah, good wide receiver screen right there for Tua finding his target finally. And Lynn Bowden Jr., like I said, backup wide receiver in the game tonight, possibly replacing Jakeem Grant Jr., dancing his way for an extra 4 yards. But Ed Oliver is a heavy hitter for the Bills defense, and you'll continue to see him tonight.
And they have some guys that played college quarterback in right now at wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins. That's how deep they're stretching this thing with some injuries and some opt-outs, as Isaiah McKenzie makes a fair catch at the 10-yard line, and that's where Buffalo will start. So Hawk with a good punt now, pinning Buffalo a little bit deep in their own territory, and they show the replay. Stephon Diggs flossing on the sideline with the string of one of the masks. Certainly interesting. Maybe he forgot to brush his teeth this morning.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the more interesting characters, not just on the Bills roster, but really in the NFL. And, that matched the fact that he's one of the best NFL wide receivers. It's no wonder that people love him so much.
So Buffalo gets the ball back here. They'll start at their own 10. They foster a 7-3 lead over Miami at this point. It was a 7-yard touchdown from Josh Allen to Isaiah McKenzie. And now Buffalo will try and get something going again. This is what they do. They struggled early in this game, which you haven't seen out of Buffalo, but they just kind of keep smacking you. There's no empty possessions for Josh Allen. They punt very solemnly. Not a lot of punts out of this team. They're very aggressive on fourth down. You saw it 3 times last week. They went for it on 4th and short around the middle of the field. One of them was a fake punt. 2 of them were just straight up going for it and knowing that you're better than the team across from you. So you're not going to see this team give up much. And if you're Miami, you got to hang in here and get some points on the board out of your offense, no matter how good your defense may be.
No, yeah, I mean, it's an extremely not even just offensively, but just in general, the way that the Bills run their team is just very aggressive, nonetheless. And an interesting statistic that I noticed is that Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins, was a previous head coach of the Buffalo Bills. I just want to know, what do you think he's telling the Miami Dolphins right now?
I think he's telling the Dolphins that, they just got to stay in this game. You have to use the motivation that you have an opportunity to make the playoffs with a win here. I mean, that has to be the key factor of the conversation every week. You saw it with Ohio State football, to bring it back to college. They had the score of their loss to Clemson in the semifinals last year throughout their entire program. It was in the weight room on every wall. It was in the locker room on every wall. It was in their meeting rooms. It was everywhere. It was on their shirts. It was everywhere. Their losing score to Clemson last year. If you don't think that's motivation, I don't know what is, right? So Miami needs to take that same thing here. They've gotten bullied by Buffalo earlier this season. They've gotten bullied by Buffalo last season. And they have a chance to go make a statement and make the playoffs here with a win against Buffalo today. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what can.
Yeah, I mean, you have me jumping out of my seat right now, Gio. With that being said, I can't imagine exactly what Chan Gailey is telling the Dolphins, exactly how the Bills run their offense and their defense. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays in, the offensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins, Chan Gailey.
And this one complete on first down for Buffalo to the right side. It's Stephon Diggs once again, taken down at about the 20. So they spotted that thing a little bit ahead of the sticks of where I thought it originally was. Thought it would be from the 10. It was from the 12. And now getting to the 20 is Stephon Diggs. It should be second down and 2 for Buffalo, and it is. Josh Allen in the shotgun. One man to his right side, 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Allen sends one to the left side. It's to Dawson Knox. First down and 10 more. Taken down at the 30-yard line is Dawson Knox, and a big gainer for Buffalo once again.
Yeah, Dawson Knox. The Bills don't really run a double tight end formation, so he'll be the guy that they go to often. But we've seen him. We've seen Allen, go to guys like Lee Smith, who isn't super athletic at the position, but gets plenty of yards nonetheless. So just a really peculiar offense that the Bills run here, and super aggressive nonetheless.
Absolutely. Two receivers stacked to the left side, and they changed the formation a little bit. So just two receivers to the left, trips to the right side. Josh Allen all alone in the shotgun. Expect a blitz here from Miami. No, sir. They'll rush only 4. Pass complete up the middle. Stephon Diggs breaks a couple of tackles, shimmies his way. First down, much more. And there's a flag on the play. Stephon Diggs looks like he's injured on the field. He's down. Took a very late hit from the back, possibly towards the head and neck area. And now he shoots back up. And as a Buffalo Bills fan, your heart just kind of stops for a second there when the leading receiver in the NFL goes down like that.
Yeah, not something you want to see often. I believe that might have been Christian Wilkins coming from behind. He's an extremely aggressive defensive player, but I don't think any bad intentions there. Just like I said, an aggressive squad. You would hate to see Stephon Diggs go down. Happy to see him pop back up, and Wilkins getting his warning right now.
Yeah, he gets a personal foul, so Diggs appears to be okay. And if you're Buffalo, I mean, you maybe get this lead up and then get some of these guys out of the game. You saw it last week. Late in the game, really no reason for Cole Beasley to be in there. I mean, he would have been out right after that drive, most likely. And he ends up getting injured. And, he could either be back next week or he could be out for the year, or he could not be back till the Super Bowl if the Bills make it there. I mean, it's week to week. It's tough. But you see them pick up Kenny Stills right now to run that slot position once the playoffs come. And here's Josh Allen, play action fake, throws this one into the dirt. He probably a little bit of trickery, looked to both sides. Neither one was open. He wasn't going to take any kind of hit. So lets that one go. It'll be second down for Buffalo.
Yeah, Allen trying to run. It looked like a little fake jet sweep out to the right, perhaps some sort of wide receiver screen. Certainly an interesting play, but nonetheless found no targets. And that's one thing we noticed last game with the Bills against the Patriots is that Josh Allen, for a young quarterback, reads the field so well. And that's why he can run the option. He's so good at play actions. I mean, he is just such an elite quarterback with field vision.
Couldn't agree with you more. Second down and 10 for Buffalo from the 39-yard line of Miami. Allen breaks a couple of tackles. Pass complete up the middle. It's Isaiah McKenzie, and he intelligently goes down without avoiding any kind of hit. Very smart play out of Isaiah McKenzie. It's 25 yards for Buffalo, and they're knocking on the door of the end zone once again.
Yeah, look at that offensive line completely collapse, and Allen, a guy who's not afraid to go out of the pocket, dances his way to a throw up the middle to Isaiah McKenzie. A great play right there.
From the 20-yard line, play action fake again, and Josh Allen sends this one up into the rafters of Bills Stadium. Again, not wanting to take a hit, staying healthy. Second down and 10, Buffalo will go. If you're Sean McDermott, you have to be pleased seeing some things like, Isaiah McKenzie, seeing what's around him and just deciding to go down. They're staying healthy. They're trying to get ready for the playoffs. Very important. Second down and 10 for Buffalo. 15 seconds left on the play clock. 7:37 left in the second quarter. And here are the Bills from the Miami 20-yard line. Only 4 seconds left now on the play clock. Josh has to go quick. He looks up at it, and he takes the snap right with 1 to go. From the 20-yard line, dropping back in the shotgun, pass complete to the right side. It's John Brown, and he gains his way across the 15. It'll be third down for Buffalo.
Yeah, it just seems the secondary is just completely collapsing right now. This is totally uncharacteristic of the Dolphins. And, like we said, perhaps we were suspecting that maybe Josh Allen was holding himself back, trying to get a feel for the defense and then really let it go. And like I said, this would be the drive to do it. And here we go, the secondary just being totally destroyed right now. And it's the best secondary. So you can't imagine just how good this offense is for the Bills.
3rd and 4, Josh Allen gets one to bite off sides, and it's a free play, and it's a touchdown, Buffalo. Isaiah McKenzie is second of the day, and he does the cha-cha slide once again. Express yourself, Josh Allen, using the free play to his advantage. He looked like the MVP frontrunner Aaron Rodgers on that one. Saw it and was able to sling one deep into the back of the end zone. What a play out of Buffalo, as Miami was stacking the box, showing blitz, and they're able to get him to jump off sides.
Yeah, number 9, too, jumping off sides. And, of course, Allen, even with pressure coming on top of him, is just so poised in the pocket. It's amazing. And like I said, the Bills do not have the strongest offensive line in the AFC East, yet he feels so comfortable to just sit there and toss it over the top to Isaiah McKenzie, who seems to be the guy for him tonight. Stephon Diggs not really performing up to par despite getting plenty of yards thus far.
It was Zach Sealer that jumped off sides for Miami. It was a free play for Buffalo. and Josh Allen found Isaiah McKenzie for their second completion together for a touchdown so far this game. So 14-3 is the lead for Buffalo as Tyler Bass makes his extra point heard, and it's a 14-3 lead as we're nearing the end of the second quarter, Kyle, and it's go time if you're Miami.
Yeah, I'm starting to sweat a little bit now as a Dolphins fan. It's really all falling into the hands of Tua Tagovailoa. We know our defense trying their best. The secondary needs to perform a little bit better, not up to par. Usually, Bobby McCain will stay with those receivers coming out through the backfield, playing a deep zone again there at the 20-yard line for the Bills. And, again, Tua Tagovailoa is really going to have to perform. Otherwise, the defense can only do so much.
Yeah, and this is essentially the first round of the playoffs if you're the Miami Dolphins. I mean, it's really, unless some magic happens, it's win or go home, right? So, I mean, you have to treat this thing like a playoff game if you're the Miami Dolphins and Brian Flores.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine how stressful it'll be for Brian Flores and the rest of the Dolphins nation to sit home with a loss and just hope that the Steelers will walk away with a win tonight against the Browns. Of course, you mentioned that the Browns have a 10-plus point spread in their favor. Ben Roethlisberger and others not playing for Pittsburgh tonight. So a lot of stuff will have to fall in the Dolphins' favor tonight if they really want to walk away with a chance to compete for that Super Bowl ring.
So just looking at some of the scores, Cleveland leads it over Pittsburgh 10-3 with 4:10 left to go in the second. So that was expected. Cleveland with a lead there. Baltimore and Cincinnati. Baltimore leads it over Cincinnati right now 16-0 with 4:30 left to go in the second quarter. And the other game was Jacksonville and Indianapolis. And that one kicks off at 4:25. So, both in all three of those games, the team that needs to lose, either the Ravens, the Colts, and the Browns, have 10-point favorites or more in the Vegas spread. So it's a lead by 7 right now for the Browns. It's a lead by 16 right now for the Ravens, and Indianapolis against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 1-14. It doesn't look good if Miami can't win today.
Yeah, I mean, initially I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, well, we only need Pittsburgh to walk away with a win for us to really walk away with a playoff shot. And, of course, Pittsburgh with guys like Ben Roethlisberger are going to rest up and maybe be comfortable with that third seed in the playoffs as opposed to the Bills really fighting for their second seed in the AFC. So a lot of different possibilities here. But, again, if the Dolphins can't walk away with a win today and if Tua Tagovailoa doesn't start to perform, it's going to be very slim chances and slim pickings for the Miami Dolphins.
Absolutely. So that was an 8-play drive for the Buffalo Bills as it was Josh Allen finding Isaiah McKenzie in the back of the end zone for the second time today. 14-3 is your lead for Buffalo over Miami. 6:56 left to go here in the second quarter of action in Orchard Park, New York. And now the Miami Dolphins will get the ball back here. It started early, though, for Miami with an interception that Josh Allen throws on a wide receiver screen, and they were able to put 3 points up on the board. Since then, they've stalled out a little bit, but that was the spark early on, and Buffalo was really stalled out early.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the secondary was doing a job right up until this drive, essentially. Just some small things. Obviously, McKenzie has really found his space somehow in the backfield, and so now's the time for Tua Tagovailoa to respond. If not, it seems like Buffalo will walk away with this one.
And on first down from the 25-yard line, it's a pass complete to the right side from Tua Tagovailoa to Bowden Jr., to Ron Johnson on the tackle. Good to see him back in the game. He came out injured earlier on as he made contact, a little bit of friendly fire with Matt Milano. He's back in, 2nd down and 7 now for Miami. Tua standing in the shotgun, 2 men in the backfield with him, and 2 receivers stacked to the left side. Bowden Jr. on the wide receiver screen, and Tremaine Edmonds is there. Give Bowden maybe a yard or 2. It'll be 3rd down.
Yeah, another screenplay. They're just trying to find Bowden short. He's kind of playing a little bit of a slot receiver type of position right now. They find him short, and that's kind of the way that this offense functions for the Dolphins. Is they're very conservative. They've been using Gaskin plenty up the middle, although he's a guy I would like to see get out wide right now.
3rd down and 6 now for Miami. 5:59 left to go, and they're taking it from the 29-yard line of their own territory. Tagovailoa in the shotgun. Again, they like to stack two guys back there with them, give them a little bit of extra protection. Lets one fly to the left side, just over the hands of Mike Gesicki, the tight end. But there is a flag on the play. Might be defensive pass interference against Buffalo here, Marchak.
Yeah, getting a little handsy with a guy who at 6'4" is very big to be going out deep like that, Mike Gesicki. So that's the stuff I was looking for. I'd love to see Tagovailoa really get downfield with his arm. He needs to start to air it out. If not, we're not going to get the spark we want, as we see Wallace getting a little handsy there. And it looks like this may be defensive pass interference. It's Gesicki just out of reach of that deeply thrown ball by Tagovailoa. So this might fall in the Dolphins' favor.
Levi Wallace definitely getting a little bit handsy there. And I believe, Kyle, it actually goes against Mike Gesicki for offensive pass interference here.
Yeah, and Tua Tagovailoa doesn't look happy with that play. So the card's just not stacking in the Dolphins' favor. And again, this is all big picture we're talking about, that if Pittsburgh wins tonight, the Dolphins will find themselves in the playoffs nonetheless. But of course, you said the Browns were up 10-4 last time we checked. So this really is a must win.
4th down and 6 now, as Hawk is out to punt this thing away. He's had 3 of them today, 2 of them not so good, and 1 of them was a decent punt. This one, pretty good though, deep. And returned by Isaiah McKenzie, makes a man miss, and he finds himself a hole. Isaiah McKenzie, a burst of speed across the 50. One man to beat. It's the punter. And he has the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Buffalo. Isaiah McKenzie, his 3rd touchdown of the day. And this thing on a punt return from the 25-yard line. What a play out of the Bills special team. How about the speed out of Isaiah McKenzie?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there with Tyler, who really should have made that play happen. And, you see him in the backfield, 1 man to go. And after he beat him, Isaiah McKenzie was gone. Great play right there, dodging in between traffic and then eventually picking the left sideline to go to, obviously going to beat a guy like Matt Hawk. And that's just a rough play. Even when Hawk gets the ball well downfield, Isaiah McKenzie will walk away with it. So the Bills really getting the cards to stack in their favor. And already here in this first half, it looks like the Bills might walk away with it.
Tyler Bass, extra point is up and good. And it's a 21-3 lead for the Buffalo Bills. And you saw Matt Barkley running down the sideline in celebration for Isaiah McKenzie. And I believe that's signification that Matt Barkley is going to take the rest of this game over for Josh Allen. Again, you don't want to injure your starting quarterback. You want everybody healthy for the playoffs. And it looks like Matt Barkley is going to run the show here through the last 5:22 in the second and most likely the rest of the game. But what a play out of Isaiah McKenzie taking that punt to the house. 3rd touchdown of the day.
And so much stacking in the Bills' favor. As I said, Isaiah McKenzie, not a guy who gets a ton of burn, but because of guys like Beasley out, he's going to get the football as much as he wants. And 2 touchdowns and then a 3rd one. I mean, what a player this kid is. There's just so much depth on this Bills offense, as much as I hate to say it. So already looking like it's going to fall in the Bills' favor. As you said, Barkley's coming in for Allen. And, maybe that'll mean Tua Tagovailoa can really compete with his counterpart here and perhaps keep themselves in this game, as it's a little early to take a quarterback out. But nonetheless, the Bills, Isaiah McKenzie, what a face to look at. Am I right? I mean, he's just super explosive at that position.
Absolutely. Cheer up, Marchak. I'm sorry. I know the Bills are trampling on them, but cheer up. Better days to come for Miami. The future is certainly bright. And this game's not over. There's still 5:22 left to go in the second half. We've seen crazier comebacks. Still a 21-3 lead for Buffalo as Tyler Bass on the kickoff. This one goes out of the back of the end zone, and Tua Tagovailoa will start this thing off at their own 25-yard line.
Hey, all I'm saying is if we've seen 28-3 in the Super Bowl, we can definitely defeat 21-3 in Week 17.
Absolutely, but you might need Tom Brady to do it.
Yeah, you might. I'm not going to lie. Tua Tagovailoa, not necessarily at that caliber yet, but certainly a young talent to look at.
Oh, absolutely. 5:22 left to go, as I said. 21-3 is the lead for Buffalo. 1st down and 10 from the 25 for Tua Tagovailoa. Play action fake. That's a pass fly to the left side, and it's complete to Bowden Jr. breaking a tackle, a stiff arm on Micah Hyde, and Bowden Jr. gets the 1st down. He's playing aggressive and fierce. He wants to make the playoffs, Marchak.
Oh, yeah. Lynn Bowden Jr. listed as the backup QB, and he's really fighting for those yards when he gets those receptions out wide. Not a guy you target deep. He's kind of playing, like I said, a little bit of a slot receiver position, and so good to see a guy really fight for a 1st down in our our first pass right there, and perhaps this drive will fall in the Dolphins' favor.
4:58 left to go, and the clock continues to wind. First down and 10 for Miami, and it's from the 35-yard line in their own territory. Tua Tagovailoa, handoff up the middle. Myles Gaskin lunges his way forward. He gets 3, and it'll be second down. Tackle on the play by Teron Johnson of Buffalo. And we're nearing halftime here. Miami would love a response and possibly get some points on the board before they head into the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, they have enough time to get downfield and possibly respond to keep themselves in this game down 21-3 here with 4.5 to go in the second half. 2nd and 7 here. Look for them to try and get the ball downfield. Now's the time to really break away with it. They've only targeted one guy downfield deep thus far, and that was Mike Gesicki, although Devontae Parker is a guy to look out for who's in motion currently.
Parker on the left side, as you said. And this one is a running back screen to Myles Gaskin, a burst of speed, and a first down for Myles Gaskin. Now a little bit of motor behind the Miami Dolphins offense. The first time we've seen it tonight. Back-to-back first downs, this time to Myles Gaskin on the halfback screen, and the Dolphins are rolling.
Yeah, another halfback screen. You've seen that to the right side and now to the left side. Gaskin is obviously going to be targeted often that way. And of course, he's gotten plenty of touches up the middle. But my problem is he's not a huge running back. So why give him plays where he has to fight for yards? He isn't going to get a ton of yards after contact. I think now's the time to begin to target people downfield, even with the risk of an interception.
Play action fake. This one intended for Mike Gesicki, the tight end. He wanted pass interference again. A flag is thrown. 3:24 left to go. It looks like it's going to be pass interference in the same matchup, probably against Levi Wallace. That would be back-to-back penalties for Levi Wallace at pass interference, as he did it on the last possession for Miami.
Yeah, so maybe some of the cards stacking in our favor here. They're getting a little handsy there. And Gesicki at 6'3", not super explosive, not super athletic. Of course, he is a tight end, but yet again, fighting for some more yards right there.
I mean, a clear height difference there between Levi Wallace, and they give the pass interference on the screen anyways to Tremaine Edmonds. Just reading the numbers wrong. Tremaine Edmonds nowhere near the play. That was obviously Levi Wallace on the pass interference.
Yeah, no, I mean, just getting a little handsy there. And with that height difference, you can kind of expect that for sure.
So now tack on some extra yardage for Miami. They're inside Buffalo territory at this point. Ball's going to be spotted right at the 46-yard line in Buffalo territory. 3 penalties last week against New England for Buffalo. So far today, they've had 2 penalties. And 3:24 left to go here in the second quarter. First down and 10 for the Buffalo Bills. Excuse me, the Miami Dolphins at the helm right now running the offense, as not really sure what's taking place on the field. Everyone just kind of looking towards the sideline, and here we go. Devontae Parker in motion to Tagovailoa. Play action fake, tries to hit the tight end to the left side, and he does. It's Durham Smith, number 81 for the Miami Dolphins, gaining his way. That'll be second down and 5, 3rd and 3:16 left to go here in the second quarter.
Yeah, Durham Smith a little bit quicker than his counterpart in Mike Gesicki. Like we said, a double tight end formation. So guys to look at on both sides with a lot of size and a lot of speed really at their position. Like I said, Smith pretty quick for a guy who's 6'5". So a ton of faces to look at here.
2:55 left to play in the second. Second down and 5. It's going to be a screen to Bowden Jr. A little bit of trickery here. Now Bowden Jr. hitting Gaskin on the left side and a burst of speed. The 10, the 5, and he's knocked out of bounds by Micah Hyde at the 5-yard line. How about that trick play from the Miami Dolphins? It was a hitch to the right side to Bowden Jr., and he throws it all the way across the field to Myles Gaskin, and a huge chunk play. Now they're at the 5-yard line.
So Bowden Jr. listed as the backup quarterback tonight, a former college QB and one of our backup wide receivers, replacing Jakeem Grant, our slot receiver. So look how that falls into our favor. Bowden Jr., the former quarterback, finding Gaskin on the left side. And that's a huge play right there to bring Dolphins into the red zone and possibly a chance to finally score their first touchdown.
The trickery showed to be effective. Only 1 second left on the play clock. Miami has to go quick. They do. Handoff up the middle. It's Gaskin, and he lunges forward. Gain of 2. 2 minutes exactly. This will probably bring us to the 2-minute warning. Second down and goal. Tackle on the play by Harrison Phillips. and that will be the 2-minute warning. So with 2 minutes left to go in the second quarter, Buffalo leads it 21-3. But now it's the Miami Dolphins knocking on the door of the end zone, trying to draw this thing closer and chip away at a Buffalo lead before taking it into the locker room. What a game we have ourselves here in Week 17, Marchak.
Yeah, Isaiah McKenzie targeted and scored 3 touchdowns thus far, 2 at wide receiver and a huge punt receiving, a punt receive, to take it to the house. So obviously a guy to be reckoned with. And I'd like to see Byron Jones get that matchup. 2 times now at wide receiver, he's scored big touchdowns to separate from the Dolphins, and both times with some guys that aren't necessarily the biggest faces in this huge secondary defense the Dolphins possess. One of the best defenses in the NFL, yet putting guys who are younger like Needham up against him, or even our safety, who of course is one of the better safeties in the division, but not the best, in Bobby McCain. Why not get Byron Jones' matchup with Isaiah McKenzie, who's obviously the face to look at this game? I think it's far too deep coming into the second half soon enough to not realize that matchup. So hopefully the Dolphins, after capitalizing on this offensive situation, will continue to make some changes.
Now, Buffalo, a very good red zone defense. It's going to be second down and goal from about the 4-yard line right now for Miami. If you're Tua and company, how are you punching this thing into the end zone?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, those trick plays will help. And Tua kind of hesitant to throw the ball deep downfield. He's done it once, and it was nearly actually caught by Mike Gesicki, who's been a guy targeted downfield once. And you'd like to think that Devontae Parker would be the guy to go to, being finally back in. He's been our leading receiver for many years now, but he seems to be a guy that's not afraid to get shorter passes. And we've seen guys like, Myles Gaskin is a guy that's gone wide, and Lynn Bowden Jr., a new face to appreciate as well. So I think kind of, continuing to be conservative and dabble up the different faces that you're going to will help support this offense to inch their way downfield, just as they often do.
Devontae Parker came into this game with 56 receptions, 677 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's with missing some lengthy amount of time so far this season. So definitely a force in the AFC East and a great contributor for the Miami Dolphins. The last time these two teams faced off in a playoff game, it was when the Bills won it in 1995 right here in Orchard Park, New York. So absolutely incredible, the history of these two teams, but with the New England Patriots dominating the division of the AFC East, it's been a while since these two have had a lasting impact. Second down and goal for Miami, 2 minutes to go on the clock, and it's from the 7-yard line. Hand off to the right side. Bowden Jr. tries to escape a tackle, and Buffalo is there to take him down. What a loss that time, as they're going to take it back all the way to pretty much the 18-yard line. Buffalo read it the whole way. Love came in to make the tackle. 3rd and long now for Tua and company.
Yeah, Bowden Jr., I mean, after getting pulled back in the backfield, you just can't afford to be caught up like that. Not necessarily his fault. The offensive line doing a very poor job in protecting their running back, essentially, there as Bowden getting the ball out of the backfield from Tua. So, like I said, I think getting the ball in the air a little bit more will help Miami's cases. Obviously, the rushing game isn't as strong as they want it to. The previous play was a huge one with the little trickery, Bowden Jr. finding Gaskin on the left side. And so, obviously, when we go to the air, we're more likely to find some more success.
Miami really, at this point, kind of needs a touchdown because it doesn't feel like a field goal would help or give you that much momentum going into the locker room. Still a minute 52 left on the clock. 3rd down and goal now for the Miami Dolphins. This one marked at the 14-yard line. 18 seconds on the play clock. In the shotgun is Tua Tagovailoa. Mike Gesicki in motion from the left to the right side. Tagovailoa dropping back, sends one deep into the end zone, nearly interception. So miscommunication there. Micah Hyde was there to try and get up and tip that thing away. It's 4th down and goal. And unfortunately, I think the Miami Dolphins will settle for a field goal.
Yeah, so obviously they're fortunate enough to get into the red zone and kind of respond somewhat with a field goal. It'll end up being 21-6. Can't count out the trickery of Brian Flores' special team, though, so look out for that. But at the end of the day, Tagovailoa should be disappointed with that drive, a guy who, I question often is too afraid to get the ball downfield, but nonetheless, you see plays like that where it's nearly picked off and you kind of throw that question away.
Sanders makes the field goal up and down the middle. So 21-6, as you said, is your new score. 1:44 left to go here in the second quarter. Matt Barkley, most likely to be back there under center for the Buffalo Bills for the remainder of the contest. We'll see what he can do with a minute and a half or so to play with. So again, to look at the playoff picture, a win at Buffalo today for Miami would give them a playoff spot. Other than that, they need Baltimore, Cleveland, or Indianapolis to lose today. And things are not necessarily looking good if you're a South Beach fan.
Yeah, I mean, out of the 4 teams fighting for those wild card spots with only 3 to go, Miami is certainly the team that's least likely to walk away with one, as they need to win today. And the Bills are already walking away with it. And with that being said, the only game that we can really look forward to is possibly Pittsburgh to walk away with a win against the Browns. But as you said, the Browns definitely have the separation that they want early on. So the Dolphins are really going to have to make a big move here. Otherwise, their playoff hopes are certainly up.
Looking at the scores with a minute and 7 seconds left in the second quarter right now, Pittsburgh trails Cleveland 10-6. So that's still a close game in Pittsburgh. And that like you said, that's probably Miami's best bet for a victory would be Pittsburgh over Cleveland. Cleveland leads at 10-6 with a minute left in the second. And then halftime between the Ravens and the Bengals, and the Baltimore Ravens lead that one 17-3, making their case for the playoffs. And then kicking off at 4:25 p.m. will be the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. But we bring you back to Buffalo, Orchard Park, New York. And Matt Barkley took some reps on the sideline. Josh Allen actually in there under center in the shotgun. 2 receivers stacked to the left side, 1 to the right, and a man in the backfield. Play action fake. Strike up the middle. Stephon Diggs, a big gainer, and he instantly slides to the ground intelligently that time by Stephon Diggs. What a huge chunk play for the Buffalo Bills, and Josh Allen still in this ball game. You thought Matt Barkley might be the one to come out, and I was mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, you really just have to question the defensive matchups that the Dolphins have set up here, because those are receivers that should be really tangled up against guys like Byron Jones.
Allen evading everybody, dials one deep, and it's John Brown along the left sideline. Another chunk play for the Buffalo Bills, and they're in Miami territory just like that. Look at this zip from Josh Allen to John Brown as he toe taps both feet. That is some fancy football, and that's why they're one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a big play right there, and it's just going to continue to look like that for Allen if these guys in the secondary of the Dolphins don't continue to make a change.
21-6 is your score. 1:13 left to go in the second quarter. First down and 10 for Buffalo, knocking on the door of the red zone now at the 32-yard line of Miami. Josh Allen dropping back, play action, tries to hit on the right side to Dawson Knox and just overthrows him. It'll be second down and 10. Clock stops with a minute, 7 seconds left.
Yeah, secondary sweeping in quickly there, and that screen out to the right. They're not a screen, but really just kind of a jet sweep type of play out to the right side. And Knox tipping it up, almost a tip drill, but nonetheless, they walk away with that one incomplete. But, you know, that's just a small block in the way of the Bills just continuing to get downfield. A lot of big plays. We already saw 3 plays in this small drive that have gotten real big chunks, as you described it. And Josh Allen will probably continue to do so if Byron Jones and Bobby McCain don't continue to step up.
Second and 10 from the 32-yard line of Miami goes Buffalo. Josh Allen dropping back, lets one fly to the right side. Touchdown, Buffalo. It's John Brown in the end zone, and it's a big lead for the Buffalo Bills. It's a strike from Josh Allen to John Brown, 27-6 with a minute left in the second quarter. And the Bills made that thing look easy. 32 yards. John Brown from Josh Allen.
Yeah, far too easy. Needham, I believe, was on that matchup again, a guy that just can't afford to make the mistakes. That's the second time now that he's given up a huge touchdown, or Byron Jones, excuse me. So just when I thought Byron Jones was a guy to go to in the secondary, he lets up a huge touchdown. John Brown, if I'm not mistaken, one of the backup wide receivers. If not, he's not the main guy for you guys, and still Josh Allen finds him over the top. So a big play right there, and it's clear the depth and talent on this Bills roster will take them deep into the playoffs.
Tyler Bass gets the PAT up and good. 28-6 is the lead with a minute left in the second quarter. Buffalo made that drive look easy. John Brown, welcome back from the injury reserve list, sir, because you've had an impact on this game. And that's a big touchdown for the Bills. 32 yards to the house from Josh Allen to John Brown. And with a minute left, it's all Buffalo in Orchard Park.
Yeah, so John Brown with a huge play right there. And you said coming off the injury reserve list. And so I'd like to see guys like Devontae Parker, who are supposed to be our leading receiver, coming off the injury reserve list, get some big plays. But Tua Tagovailoa seems like he just wants to rely on the Steelers and see what they can do to get them into the playoffs. Because right now the hopes are not looking good if Tagovailoa continues to not be able to perform. We really need to see him show off his arm, even if it is, setting up the risk of an interception or whatever it may be. The Dolphins are certainly missing Ryan Fitzpatrick right now.
Oh, couldn't agree with you more. I think Fitzpatrick's in this thing. It might be a different ball game, and I'm no lie about that, because even though the Bills are a different team at this point, it was a great fight in South Beach when these two faced off earlier this year at Hard Rock Stadium, and that's mostly because of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Fitzpatrick pulls off a lot of different things that you just don't see too often for a quarterback who isn't really recognized as an MVP racer or anything like that. I mean, that's why they call him Fitzmagic. He pulls off plays that you simply do not expect. And obviously you saw that finish to the Las Vegas game last week that kept their playoff hopes alive, where in one play they got downfield within field goal range to win it on a face mask and a deep throw to the left side to Mac Hollins. So just some stuff you don't expect with Fitzpatrick, and something that just won't occur often with guys like Tua Tagovailoa, who's still finding his rhythm here in the NFL.
Speaking of Tagovailoa, a pass complete up the middle, and never mind, it's dropped that time as Tagovailoa tried to get something going with a minute left here. 54 seconds now on the clock, second down and 10. Couldn't hit his wide receiver, and it'll be second down for the Miami Dolphins, under a minute to go, Kyle. And if you're Tua, I mean, he's just struggled a little bit in this game, to say the least. And coming in to make the play that time for the Buffalo Bills were a couple of different Bills jerseys. But second down, what's the game plan for Miami in the second half?
Well, I mean, I know it's risky, but honestly, Tagovailoa is going to have to continue to look downfield. That's the only play that will get big chunks like Josh Allen has in order to get those drives going. And with 45 seconds to go, you see we're already throwing the ball a little bit deeper than usual, although that play only got us 5 yards. We've really only seen screens and small jet sweeps like that to really inch our way up the field. And now finally Tagovailoa looking a little bit more comfortable here.
It's Bowden. And it's going to be third down and 5, 42 seconds left in the second quarter here. 2 timeouts for Miami, 1 timeout for Buffalo. And it looks like they might be taking this thing to the sideline. Nope, they're not. No timeout called. Third down and 5, 47 seconds left. And Tua just taking his time. Everything stopped, so there might have been a timeout. But they are in the huddle. And now the play clock continues to wind. So a little bit of communication there. And it's third down and 5. Tua Tagovailoa in the shotgun. 2 receivers to the right side, trips to the left side. Buffalo showing an all-out blitz. Wouldn't be surprised if they drop out of it. Yep, only rushing 4. Tua still swarmed. Lets a pass go up the middle. Couldn't hit Myles Gaskin, who dove at it to try and make a play. In and out of the hands of Gaskin, and it's fourth down. Myles Gaskin should have had that one, Marchak.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Tagovailoa is still struggling to find his target just as well as he wants to. Myles Gaskin lacks a little bit of size, and I think he had to really reach for that one. But at the end of the day, third down conversions are going to be key for us. And, with 40 seconds to go, I really would not like to see Hawk in. You might as well just throw the ball down the field and kind of like an arm punt for all I care. At the end of the day, I mean, we really just need to get something going, and Hawk with the punt off. Hopefully this one will be successful, as Isaiah McKenzie probably under the ball this time again.
And he jukes out the ball that time, just trying to avoid being touched by it. You don't want to give up any kind of muff. And it goes past him. It'll be downed by the Miami return team. 30 seconds left for Buffalo as they take a look at the replay. And wow, Isaiah McKenzie just barely avoiding that football, Marchak.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if that touched, that might have been something that actually fall in the Dolphins' favor. But yeah, that one, that ball kind of weaving in and through traffic down that right sideline. And so the Dolphins walk away with a ball placed at the 10-yard line for their counterpart in the Bills, and perhaps that'll end it. So, Josh Allen has had quite the performance, Gio.
Yeah, to say the least. And that'll do it for the second quarter and the first half of action, as Josh Allen just takes one knee and both teams head into the locker room, and the Bills will take this thing into the locker room with a 28-6 lead over the Miami Dolphins. It was John Brown with the most recent touchdown, a 32-yard strike from Josh Allen, and then it was Isaiah McKenzie who had 2 touchdown catches from Josh Allen, and then he had the big punt return, taking it to the house for a tutty. That's 3 on the day for him. And it's been an eventful one for the Buffalo Bills. On the other side, Miami, not so much, Kyle. And I'm not going to lie, especially the way the game began, I'm a little surprised at what the score is right now. Just coming in, I thought it would be more of a dogfight. I'm surprised that Josh Allen played the entire first half. I would not be surprised if Matt Barkley comes out and takes the snaps in the second half. Nonetheless, it's a big lead for Buffalo, and I think it surprised both of us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that it's not necessarily the playing capability. I think Byron Jones has kind of done what he could. It might be the play calling necessarily, because we saw Byron Jones, who was our leading cornerback, despite or otherwise compared to Xavier Howard, who leads the league in interceptions and not exactly where he is today. With Byron Jones, a guy who's supposed to really lock it down. He started off the game with an interception. All of a sudden, he's giving up touchdowns left and right to back up wide receivers like John Brown and Isaiah McKenzie, who are getting more burn than usual. So with that being said, Josh Allen, lucky to have so many different guys to go to. But at the end of the day, the play calling and the defensive capabilities of the Dolphins will have to step it up, because Tua Tagovailoa has really reached his limits, a guy who doesn't have the capabilities to really get the ball downfield quickly. Really just performing to his best abilities right now.
Absolutely. Again, Isaiah McKenzie back there receiving punts for the Buffalo Bills instead of Andre Roberts, and he was able to take one to the house. It's a 28-6 lead for Buffalo as they head into the locker room, and we'll be back in just a second. We'll take a look at some of the stats, and then we'll take a halftime break and be back for the second half of action. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back once we get our stats pulled up. We'll talk a little bit about it, and we'll turn you loose, and we'll be back at halftime. We'll be back in just a sec. All right, welcome back here on Orange Heat. Giovanni here alongside Kyle Marchak here as the Buffalo Bills have a 28-6 lead over the Miami Dolphins at halftime. And Josh Allen playing the first half for Buffalo, 18 for 25, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. His counterpart, Tua Tagovailoa, 12 for 19 passing, only 89 yards and no scores. Rushing, Myles Gaskin leads the way for Miami with 5 carries for 12 yards. Zach Moss, 3 carries for 8 yards. So rushing has been very minimal for both teams. And receiving, it's Gaskin as well, leading with 3 receptions for 46 yards. Diggs, 7 receptions for 76 yards. It's a big lead for Buffalo. Kyle, just your final thoughts on the first half.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously 122 yards of total offense will not suffice for the Dolphins. We started off the game with a huge interception with Byron Jones, and that was an impressive one at that, a little toe tap to really secure that one. And that seemed like it would have kind of secured the idea that the Dolphins were going to compete today. But nonetheless, eventually their secondary defense, which is the best in the NFL, totally collapses. Byron Jones giving up 2 huge touchdowns for Josh Allen and his Bills to guys like Isaiah McKenzie and John Brown, who don't get as much burn as they should. And so with that being said, obviously the confidence is probably not standard, or up to standard at least, for the Dolphins defense. And, that isn't going to fall in Tagovailoa's favor. He's not a super chaotic quarterback. He isn't entirely athletic yet. And so it looks like the Dolphins, coming out of the second half, will probably have to really air out all of their options. They've tried getting the ball downfield. They've tried running it up the middle with Gaskin. I think now the only thing left to do is really try and get Gaskin out wide, or small plays like that. But at the end of the day, they've targeted so many different faces, and Devontae Parker is the only question mark in my head right now, a guy that we need to get downfield. He's been our leading receiver for many weeks now and many years, with that being said. And I know he's coming off of an injury, but he's a guy that we really need to burn as much as possible.
Now, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but the Miami Dolphins kept it very close with the Kansas City Chiefs just a couple of weeks ago, and the Bills are running away with this thing. So who really is the best team in the AFC? I guess we'll see once playoff time comes. We'll take a quick break here on Orange Sheet for halftime as the Buffalo Bills have a 28-6 lead over the Miami Dolphins. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for the second half of action. It's the Bills. It's the Dolphins. It's Week 17 NFL football, and it's right here on Orange Sheet. And welcome back here on Orange Heat. We're in Orchard Park, New York, as the Buffalo Bills currently lead the Miami Dolphins 28-6 in this Week 17 matchup. Just to refresh everybody, the Miami Dolphins a win today, clinch a playoff spot in the wild card. A loss today, they would need the Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, or the Indianapolis Colts to lose as well. And we're back as the initial kick goes out of the back of the end zone. And here's Tua Tagovailoa going quick, hitting Devontae Parker on the left side for a big chunk gain. Kyle, that's what you said we needed again. Giovanni Heater alongside Kyle Marchak. Welcome back, buddy, and the Dolphins rolling early.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. This is a great production you have going on here. And, I'm really looking forward to the rest of this second half and to see if maybe Devontae Parker, the guy I was looking for, will continue to be targeted with only 2 receptions, 24 yards thus far, a guy that I think could lead us back into this game.
4:26 left to go here on the game clock in the third quarter. Tua Tagovailoa, another strike. There's Devontae Parker. Give him 13 yards and give him another first down.
Again, targeted the second reception in a row for him. I think this might turn the Dolphins around if they continue to get the ball in the air. I mean, we tried to give it to Myles Gaskin, our running back, as often as possible in that first half. And, it seemed that he would help us chip away at some yards, a guy that can certainly give us a couple per carry, but not a guy who will break us downfield. And that's why, coming into the second half, we've had no touchdowns thus far, relying on the 2 field goals to keep us in this game.
And now looking deep is Tua Tagovailoa, and it's Devontae Parker again, going up, high-pointing the football, and 3 big plays in a row for the Miami Dolphins. Tua to Parker. Chunk plays have been the story.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what Allen was doing so well with Stephon Diggs, John Brown, and Isaiah McKenzie, is just finding them deep when they need to. And that's a huge play right there. Devontae Parker rising up over Josh Norman, who is not an easy guy to just kind of Randy Moss right there. And so Devontae Parker getting targeted as often as possible with already, almost 30 yards here in the second half. And we're only about a couple minutes in.
And here are the Dolphins. A pass complete to Gesicki up the middle. Now marching down the field well into Buffalo territory in the red zone at the Buffalo 15-yard line. It'll be second down and 13 minutes to go. But how about Tua Tagovailoa? Where was that arm in the first half?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, without a guy like Devontae Parker on the field for too many receptions, you have to wonder exactly how comfortable he was, feeling like he needed to throw the ball downfield. Obviously, this secondary isn't the best in the NFL facing the Dolphins, but they are certainly one of the better ones. And so with guys like Josh Norman who can really lock it down, it's certainly a worry.
Devontae Parker again on the right side. First down, Miami. Marked down at the 10-yard line, and that's where they will take this with a new set of downs. 10 yards to go before the end zone. Now, they haven't been very productive in the red zone so far this game, but clearly this second half has started fast and physical and could be a different story, looking to put their first touchdown on the board.
Yeah, perhaps, I believe the first play we had in the red zone, we tried to get a little hitch or a jet sweep to Lynn Bowden Jr., and he was taken for a sack of almost 10 yards, I believe. So that wasn't pretty. Certainly going to try and keep the ball in the air here.
Here's Tua. He's going to take it with his legs sliding down at the 3-yard line. A smart play out of Tua Tagovailoa, and he didn't see anything. Decided to keep it and call his own number on that play, and a big play out of the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa, the rookie, putting the team on his shoulders. I wonder what Brian Flores had to say in the locker room.
Yeah, perhaps he was actually holding off on some of these plays, and especially Devontae Parker. And now with this new look, almost, it's totally changing up the rhythm. So this might fall in the Dolphins' favor if they continue to change up the rhythm and really shock the defense of the Bills, who are facing a different type of Miami Dolphins right now.
Trips to the right side, including the tight end Gesicki. Back there all alone is Tagovailoa, sends one to the end zone over the head of Mike Gesicki. Jordan Poyer was there in coverage for Buffalo, and it'll be third down and goal for Miami from about 3 or 4 yards out. 11:20 left to go in the third quarter. Poyer with the tight defense on the tight end. And now Miami has one more to go. Possibly 4 down territory, though, down 28-6.
Yeah, I mean, they're only a few yards away from really getting their first touchdown of the game, which is really pivotal considering that this drive will only last a couple, maybe 4 minutes max. And so Brian Flores, you got to wonder what's going on in his head. You can kind of see the gears grinding already as he's thinking of new ways to give the Bills a new look, as Tagovailoa looking far more comfortable here in the second half.
Here's Tua. Sends one to the end zone over the head of Devontae Parker. And in coverage again was Jordan Poyer. It'll be fourth down. Parker wanted a flag, And again, a little bit of miscommunication, and it looked a lot like the first half on those last two plays.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of called it that they've really struggled in the red zone thus far. And so with that being said, they got to have to find new ways that when they are going short to convert. And so you see the statistic there, converted last 7 fourth down chances, the Dolphins. Of course, none this game. But they found success in fourth down. They're going to go for it here.
From 5 yards out, here are the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa in the shotgun. Man in motion on the right side. Here's Tua. Sends one to the end zone. Devontae Parker gets it batted away. Great coverage by the veteran Josh Norman. There is a flag, and it very well could be defensive pass interference.
Yeah, it looks like it seems Parker was kind of pleading his case there. And it looks like it is pass interference. So that's huge. Josh Norman, a guy who really doesn't make those plays too often. He's one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. And you see they're getting far too handsy with Parker, who really didn't plead his case as much as I thought he did. Of course, Sean McDermott not looking happy with his player right there. So the Dolphins catch another break, but seeing how that play went, do you think they'll go for it again? Well, that's with first and goal.
It's first down. It's an automatic first down. So that's the nice thing about a pass interference. It's automatic first down, and it's half the distance to the goal line. Handoff up the middle. Myles Gaskin. Touchdown, Miami. There is a flag.
Man, this is going to look like it's going to be back and forth. Hopefully this falls in the Dolphins' favor as Gaskin getting his first touchdown. And
the penalty is declined. It was against Buffalo, and Miami with their first touchdown of this game. Myles Gaskin waltzes in easily. It was offsides against Ed Oliver on the defensive line, and simply done by the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, Gaskin, not the biggest running back, but he can certainly catch a couple yards when he needs to. So that's a big play right there. Finally coming into big use is Myles Gaskin, who's gotten plenty of touches now. So first touchdown of the night for the Dolphins, and that's going to be pivotal to their success further on as they've cut this lead almost in half now, as Jason Sanders will hopefully put up this extra point here.
Sanders, the PAT is up and good. So now the lead 28-13 for Buffalo. 2-possession game. It would be a touchdown and a 2-point conversion as well as another touchdown, unfortunately, because it was 2 field goals for the Dolphins early. But hey, that's a way to start a second half right there. You come out of the locker room, you come out fierce. Josh Norman, the pass interference call proved to be costly for the Buffalo Bills, and the Miami Dolphins took advantage of it. And we talked about that in the pregame, Kyle. We talked about how Miami was a team that lets you make the mistakes and they take advantage of those opportunities. Another team in the AFC East made a dynasty off of that in Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Miami trying to do the same thing, and it worked because they got the opportunity, let Josh Norman make the mistake, and then they were able to strike on it, putting one into the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to make a comp here saying that Tagovailoa will match the type of skill level or playing style of Tom Brady, but you can't help but kind of reminisce on the conservativeness of Bill Belichick's Patriots in past years with Tom Brady, and that's kind of the way that they play with Tua Tagovailoa, not necessarily because he has a similar playing style, but really just because he doesn't have the necessary capabilities or raw talent just yet to really throw that ball downfield or really break out of the pocket, just as his counterpart and Josh Allen is right now. So Tagovailoa, that's probably one of the best drives I've seen out of him all season. He really manned that offense, and with Devontae Parker back in the game, that was huge for them to kind of change up the look. So Brian Flores perhaps kind of changing up the rhythm in order to have this game fall in the favor of the Dolphins in the second half to give the Bills a new look. So that's a huge drive right there for Miami.
Yes, the Dolphins respond. 28-13 is your score, and it was the initial drive of the second half. Miami took the ball and ran with the opportunities that came with it. Big throws for Tua Tagovailoa hitting his wideout Devontae Parker, who really hadn't had much action going on. So let's take a look at some of the other scores that are very in play in this game. Again, we said it, Miami, a win today puts them into the playoffs. A loss today, they would need Baltimore, Cleveland, or Indianapolis to lose as well in order to get in. So we'll take a look at some of the scores around the National Football League in just a second. But again, a huge drive out of the Miami Dolphins, and the Buffalo Bills probably not playing Josh Allen here. Probably going to see Matt Barkley. And if you're the Dolphins, pounce on that because you don't know what the offensive production is going to be for Buffalo. It'll certainly be diminished.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at the scores, Gio, obviously the Steelers game is huge for the Dolphins' playoff hopes, and the Steelers looked like they were going to have some separation gained on them by the Browns, but it seems that the Steelers, answering back with a field goal, are now with within only 4 points and possession here in this third quarter for them. So 10-6 against the Browns up. So that's going to be huge for the Dolphins as well. But for now, we're going to have to worry about how they'll find their way back in this game, because that might be their best hopes.
As the kick goes out of the back of the end zone, no return here for Isaiah McKenzie. Josh Allen on the sideline without his helmet, and you'd have to think he'll be done for the day. But what a first half out of Joshy touchdown, I should say.
Hey,
but
either
John
way,
Brown,
it sounds good.
John Brown gets a touchdown. Isaiah McKenzie gets 3. Josh Allen goes for over 200 yards and 3 touchdown passes. So a big first half out of the Buffalo Bills. And here's Matt Barkley under center for Buffalo. Barkley, play action fake, pass nearly complete to Dawson Knox, who would have been swarmed anyways, and he drops it just a little too far past him. Matt Barkley, a veteran quarterback in the NFL, drafted out of USC in 2013, and now getting some snaps here. This is his 8th season in the National Football League. He's thrown 10 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. So not great ratio there. Handoff up the middle, and some new guys getting some burn for Buffalo. Look at Williams across the 40-yard line. That's a big play for the Bills. Now Zach Moss and Devin Singletary most likely out of the game. You're probably going to see the most that the Bills can send at you as far as their bench goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smart move, too. With a decent lead, hopefully they can hold on to it. If not, they'll definitely put their guys back in if need be. Jones getting the tackle there as Williams, who really rumbled down the field.
Antonio Williams in here out of North Carolina, a rookie for the Buffalo Bills. And Williams will get the handoff again. Nowhere to go. And an altercation on the sideline between some Buffalo Bills coaches. I really can't tell if that was positive or negative because we can't hear what the TV's saying about it. So
that
interesting there. Yes, that doesn't help either. 28-13 is your lead for Buffalo. 10:03 left to go. Second down and 10 from the 47-yard line. Matt Barkley in the shotgun takes the snap, pass up the middle. Isaiah McKenzie, a burst of speed. First down across the 50, down at about the 42-yard line inside Miami territory by Isaiah McKenzie. Man, this guy is quick.
Yeah, I mean, he's real shifty. 5 receptions, 62 yards, and 2 touchdowns tonight as a wide receiver. You cannot notch off the 3rd touchdown he scored, a huge punt return. God knows how many yards that one was for. Matt Hawk really has been struggling all night punting for the Dolphins, uncharacteristic of him, usually a guy who's pretty consistent. And the one that he finally gets deep downfield, Isaiah McKenzie took it all the way.
Jet sweep to Isaiah McKenzie, and he's going to lose about 3 or 4 that time. So they'll take him back right around the 50-yard line, or the 45-yard line, I should say. And a big tackle that time by Van Ginkel with his long, luscious locks, as you would say.
Yeah, I mean, you and I compared it to Cole Beasley's, who has great hair as well, possibly a little bit curlier. Of course, Beasley out, a guy that you would wish would be in tonight. Of course, that injury last game against the Patriots hurt a little bit. But he's one of the best slot receivers in the NFL, so we'd like to see him back next week for the Bills.
Matt Barkley dropping back, second down and 13, pass up the middle intended for Dawson Knox, left it way short, and it'll be 3rd and 13 for Buffalo. And you don't necessarily want to give Miami the ball back here with this kind of momentum. This is a huge 3rd down here for the landscape of the game with 8:40 to go in the 3rd. I mean, clearly the production out of Buffalo is not going to be the same, and it's proven to be that. If Miami can come up with some stops and get something going offensively, because I don't think Buffalo's going to have their entire starting defense out there either, you're looking at a completely different ball game. But here's 3rd down and 13. 5 seconds left on the play clock. Barkley has to go quick. Matt Barkley, shotgun, drops back. Screen over to Isaiah McKenzie, and he tripped up on his own foot, dropped the pass, out of bounds it went, and 4th and 13. I don't think he would have got all 13 yards anyways, but he's frustrated with himself. Buffalo will have to punt this ball away.
Yeah, the secondary doing a little bit of a better job there. Obviously, Barkley not as sharp as Allen, but nonetheless, Isaiah McKenzie, a force to be reckoned with tonight for the Bills. For whatever reason it may be, he's really exploded today. But on that one, only one reception for positive yards as far as I remember. So this will be a big time for the Dolphins to really turn it around as Barkley's in for the Bills. And with that being said, Tua Tagovailoa a chance to kind of take it over against his counterpart, obviously producing a little bit better in that first drive, which was massive for him, scoring the first touchdown of the game. And I'm looking forward to seeing if he can replicate that here in his second drive of the second half.
Corey Bojorquez with a good boot, and Tua's not going to have the best field position to start with when they come back. But Buffalo stalled out offensively after a couple of big plays. Miami a chance to draw this game, another possession closer as Buffalo leads it 28-13. Kyle, we'll take another look at some of the scores across the National Football League in just a second. But if you're Miami, what are you doing on this next drive?
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, I think they should just kind of replicate what they did. We saw last half, they only scored 2 field goals the entire time. And, one of their biggest plays was in the air. It was a little trick play out to Lynn Bowden Jr., who then pitched it out to Myles Gaskin on the left side. And that was a 32-yard reception that brought them right into the red zone. But following that, they handed it off to Lynn Bowden, who is a wide receiver and listed as also the backup QB tonight, out of the backfield. And that was sacked for a loss of 10-plus yards almost. So with that being said, I think continuing to throw the ball downfield and targeting Devontae Parker will be good, but it's never wrong to change it up a little bit and get some touches in there by a running back, Myles Gaskin, as well.
Now, not to alarm you as a Miami Dolphins fan, but the Steelers did just draw it a field goal closer. Scores 10-9 now in Pittsburgh with the Cleveland Browns, a 1-point lead, 8:29 left to go in the third. So the Steelers hanging in there despite not having their starting quarterback in. 3 field goals, have to come up with a touchdown, you'd think, to win this thing. But definitely something to watch out for. That's the closest score because 24-3 is the score at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, where Baltimore has a 24-3 lead over Cincinnati. And then I don't like Jacksonville's chances against the Indianapolis Colts today either. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously, as a Dolphins fan, if we can't find our way back into this Bills game, which seems to slowly be turning into the favor of the Dolphins, we're going to have to rely on the Steelers. That's the team that we need to win tonight, as the Browns are the team that's really fighting for one of those wild card spots that we are also getting a little bit chippy for right now. So with that being said, obviously the Browns up 10-9. It's really promising to see Pittsburgh clawing their way back, as previously they were down 10-3. And a guy like Baker Mayfield can really run away with it whenever he wants to. Mason Rudolph replacing Ben Roethlisberger tonight. And so it's good to see the production out of him, and hopefully that'll fall in the Steelers' favor, coming from a Dolphins fan, of course.
Absolutely. Both these coaches up for Coach of the Year, Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills and Brian Flores of the Miami Dolphins, both 2 great names to have in the conversation of NFL Coach of the Year. Here's Tua Tagovailoa starting from his own 11-yard line after the Corey Bojorquez punt, and in the shotgun, here he goes. Pass to the left side, intercepted by Josh Norman, and it's a Buffalo Bills touchdown. Pick 6 for Buffalo, and Josh Norman wasn't going to be fooled that time.
Yeah, and, as a Dolphins fan, again, I'm going to have to start to rely on the Steelers a little bit more. What a play right there. Josh Norman, like I said, getting a little bit chippy against Devontae Parker, and now he answers, from that pass interference call that eventually led to that second chance for a touchdown. It was 1st and 2 on that play, and now Tagovailoa out of the backfield just gives it up. Devontae Parker knocked down, possibly tripped over himself, and Matt Milano protecting his man Josh Norman with a huge pick 6 right there. The Bills seem to be walking away with this one, just as I thought the Dolphins were going to find their way back.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't blame as the PAT is up and good for Tyler Bass. It's 35-13, the lead for Buffalo. 8:20 to go. Interception, pick 6 by Josh Norman from just 11 yards out. I don't blame Tua on that play because he throws the ball on a slant and then Devontae Parker loses his footing. I mean, that was a gimme for Josh Norman, but that's not Tua's fault. And there could even be an argument for a little bit of a push, but I can't blame that on Tua. That's on Devontae Parker.
Yeah, I mean, as a Dolphins fan, you'd like to think there's some sort of defensive pass interference or whatever had gotten in the way of Devontae Parker, who took a tumble right there. And it's just a shame. And, just when you think that you're finding a rhythm, knowing that you should target Devontae Parker, who changed the last drive completely, and then all of a sudden he trips over himself and it's a gimme pick six. So obviously Tagovailoa not happy with himself, but I wouldn't beat myself up too much if I were him. Like you said, not necessarily his fault, as Devontae Parker pleading his case to one of the sideline coaches. So Tagovailoa certainly looking disappointed, but still have a shot to claw their way back in with more drives like they did only a couple chances ago.
So 3 offensive touchdowns for Buffalo, a defensive touchdown, and a special teams touchdown. All the coaches have to be happy at that point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's as well-rounded as it gets. And, kind of finding my way back into the football world all over again, realizing that the Dolphins have a shot and, obviously getting to broadcast with you. I was pretty much taken aback by just how well-rounded and chaotic this offense and aggression really is in Buffalo. I mean, they really have something special brewing here.
Absolutely. So again, we'll continue to look at the scores around the country in the NFL. Most spotlight on the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. But it's a 35-13 lead for the Buffalo Bills. 8:20 left to go, and Tua takes it again at the 25-yard line as the kickoff goes out of bounds. And here's Tua once more. Handoff up the middle. Myles Gaskin with a burst of speed, and he'll gain himself 7. It'll be second down and short for Tua and company. The Cleveland Browns just scored a touchdown, I believe, and this lead now is 16-9, possibly with a PAT to tack on as well. 3:51 left in the third, and Cleveland has the ball. So probably they have the ball because they're about to put up a PAT, if I had to guess.
Yeah, certainly a roller coaster of emotions today in Week 17 for me, especially as a Dolphins fan.
Tua Tagovailoa, pass complete to the left side. Tight end Mike Gesicki just before the line to gain. It'll be third down and very short, 3rd down and 1 exactly. And the Bills starting to send in their bench defenders as well. Had the starters out there as things were a little bit tight, but that pick 6 has opened things up once again. So 7.5 minutes to go here. Miami's 0 for 8 on 3rd down conversions so far today, but this 3rd and 1 is very big. Buffalo showing blitz. Tua in the shotgun. He's going to drop back. A pass up the middle is intercepted by the Buffalo Bills. And it looks like it might have hit the dirt. Nearly a pick that time for Buffalo. They knew they had it. And honestly coughed it up. It was Tyler Medikevich who came in. And yes, he drops it. So Medikevich nearly had a pick, but that was 3rd down. 4th down coming for Miami. You'd have to think they might punt this ball away.
Yeah, I mean, 4th and 1, you don't want to be ultra aggressive. Like I said, Brian Flores, man's a really conservative team, but it looks like the offense will stay out there. Let's see if Tua Tagovailoa can convert here.
This is risky, deep in their own territory still. Handoff up the middle, play action fake. Tua rolling to the left side. He's going to dive for the 1st down himself, and the rookie out of Alabama takes it for the 1st down. That's a big play out of the Miami Dolphins to keep the chains moving, because if you gave Buffalo the ball back with that tight area there, it wasn't going to be a good recipe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the pressure was coming in for sure, as we see a highlight of the Browns scoring and separating their lead against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So another chance for the Dolphins here.
1st down and 10 for Tua from the 35-yard line. Tua pass to the left side over the head of his intended receiver, the tight end, and out of bounds it goes. So it'll be 2nd down and 10, 6.5 minutes to go. Josh Norman still chatting away, as he has made a career out of doing. Pass that time was intended for Adam Sheehan again. He had a couple big catches earlier in the game, and he couldn't get up for that one. Tua just overthrew him a little bit. And here they are for 2nd down. From their own 35-yard line, Tua in the shotgun, gassed into his left side, 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Pressure coming. Tua evades it all using his legs. 1st down across the 50-yard line, and he slides away at the 51, or there is no 51, the 49. And it's a 1st down for the Miami Dolphins. A big play out of Tua. A lot of pressure from Buffalo. Both linebackers blitzing in A.J. Klein and Tyler Medikevich. Tua was able to avoid it all and get a big gainer, Marchak.
Yeah, I mean, obviously middle linebacker blitz, but he found the gap to the right side. A huge play for the Dolphins.
Handoff up the middle goes just about nowhere this time for the Dolphins. And the man back there to take it is Salvon Ahmed, who you talked about earlier in this game. A good two-back for the Miami Dolphins, gets another carry.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of different faces that we can hand it off to. Obviously, Myles Gaskin, our main guy, and sometimes you see him receiving up the middle as well. Not totally unexpected, but Tua has a lot of faces to think about here. But Devontae Parker is the one I'm thinking of.
Tua dials it up. A pass towards the middle intended for Mike Gesicki was tipped away by Medikevich. And that's back-to-back big plays by Medikevich on this drive. He had one earlier, nearly interception, and that time is able to swat it out of the hands of the tight end Gesicki out of Penn State. 3rd down and 9 now for Tua. 0 for 9 on 3rd down to the Dolphins now. And this is a deep one.
Yeah, 3rd down conversions will be kind of pivotal to the success of the Dolphins, as they've really struggled with that thus far.
3rd down and 9, man in motion to the left side. It's Bowden Jr. Here's Tua dropping back. Pressure coming up the middle. Delivers one up the middle, and it is dropped. Nearly a big gainer for the Miami Dolphins, and in and out of the hands of Ford it went. 4th down and 9. You'd have to think Brian Flores is going to punt this ball away.
Oh, yeah, perhaps tipped a little bit, so not necessarily Isaiah Ford's fault, but Isaiah Ford getting his first type of burn here as that one tipped up the middle. Definitely dangerous, as Tua Tagovailoa has nearly given up multiple interceptions thus far and plays just like that, especially targeting guys like Mike Gesicki and, of course, Devontae Parker earlier. So he can't walk away with that one.
Now here are the Dolphins going for it on 4th down. Tua Tagovailoa dropping back, delivers one to the left side, and it is incomplete. Josh Norman in coverage. No flags this time. Jabbering his mouth goes Josh Norman. Like I said, he's made a career off doing that. And it's unfortunate. Saran Neal came in on the 3rd down, and what a play by Josh Norman there on Devontae Parker. But on the 3rd down, Saran Neal dove in, just barely got fingers on it. And when you're in that close range, I mean, it would have been a big catch for Isaiah Ford, and it just changes its trajectory a little bit and its timing a little bit. Hits Ford right in the chest. He was ready for it, but because of that tip, it falls to the ground. And a couple of back-to-back big plays out of the secondary of the Buffalo Bills, and now they turn it over on downs in the middle of the field.
No, yeah, a big play. I mean, there's no denying that. That was very impressive, reaching out to get that tip. And, obviously it looked like initially Isaiah Ford not getting too many receptions, or none at all really, this week at least. And so with that being said, up the middle, he wasn't prepared for it. But nonetheless, a great defensive play by the Bills, and they get that stand right there. So they'll have a shot to really separate themselves on this drive.
I couldn't agree with you more, Kyle, but Matt Barkley out there at quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. This is good, though, if you're a Buffalo fan, because he's getting some reps. God forbid, in the playoffs, Josh Allen goes down with an injury or has to sit on the COVID IR list. I mean, something like that. Those are real challenges in now 2021, you have to say. But the pandemic very much still an issue. And if you need your backup quarterback to play it all, you want to have him repped. You want to have him ready. So playing an entire half of football is actually going to be a good thing for the Buffalo Bills in this offense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Josh Allen's gotten his reps in. He's gotten this team to separate with 2 touchdowns to Isaiah McKenzie, So obviously Josh Allen's gotten his reps in. He's certainly prepared for next week, whether it's versus the Dolphins or possibly the Steelers. A lot of different matchups that could suffice. Meanwhile, the Dolphins trying to claw their way back into this game. But again, I'll go back to hoping that the Steelers game will fall in the Pittsburgh's favor. Is with 1.5 to go in the 3rd, they're down 17-9. The Browns continue to separate as they're playing all their guys, Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield. But at the same time, the Pittsburgh Steelers out without Ben Roethlisberger, and instead Mason Rudolph replacing him. So the NFL chaos of Week 17 is really in full effect right now.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And you see Kansas City, they've already sealed up the 1 seed. There's nothing left to play for them till the playoffs. So they benched everybody, giving them plenty of rest, basically playing their practice team for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad move, obviously. You want to rest your guys. I can't imagine Mahomes will get any touches. Obviously, he's one of the most prized possessions in the NFL, especially the AFC. So you can expect him to be ready for that 1st seed matchup after that bye week.
35-13 is the lead for Buffalo in Orchard Park. 5:16 left to go. Miami turned it over on downs, and here's Buffalo. Handoff up the middle and gaining maybe one that time for Buffalo, trying to catch a number, but most likely it's going to be Williams. Yep, Williams, Antonio Williams back in, the rookie out of North Carolina. And the 5'11", 215-pounder in his rookie season, getting some of his first touches. Obviously a rookie alongside Zach Moss. Zach Moss, one of the premier backs on this team alongside Devin Singletary. So good to see Antonio Williams with some burn. Pass to the right side. Matt Barkley to Dawson Knox, who went up and high-pointed that football. It's a big gainer for the Buffalo Bills, and now they are marching down the field.
Yeah, I mean, just when you think that guys like Rowe and Jones, who are our cornerbacks in right now, are really getting in the rhythm and possibly feeling more comfortable against a guy like Matt Barkley, they give up big plays like that to Dawson Knox, who is really explosive and very large, even at the position of tight end. So an impressive play right there, like you said, high pointing the ball, and Barkley feeling a little bit more comfortable here.
From the 32-yard line, here are the Bills. Barkley rolled out to the right, tried to hit Dawson Knox, just out of the reach of Dawson Knox, the tight end. If Knox came up with that catch, he had Green in front. That might have been 6, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, the route running of this young man is very impressive, but Van Ginkel getting a little bit in there, although he seemed to have free Green, just as you said. So the defensive players of this, what's supposed to be the best defense in the NFL, and the Miami Dolphins should be stepping up. Christian Wilkins really hasn't been getting as many sacks as he should, really no sacks at all as far as I know. And so the secondary stayed quiet as well. A lot of things to change up here for Miami.
Barkley now tried to hit Gabriel Davis on a slant route up the middle, the rookie, and Van Ginkel was there to swat it away on the defensive line. So 3rd down and 10 for Barkley and the Buffalo Bills. What a play out of Van Ginkel.
Yeah, Van Ginkel, very athletic at his position, middle linebacker, trying to rush right there and getting his arms out. He's a pretty big guy at his position. I'm not sure exactly how many interceptions he has this year, but I know it's at least a couple. We're usually a team that can get plenty of interceptions. We started off the game with Byron Jones' interception, a little toe tap action, but since then, the secondary has been pretty quiet.
4 seconds left on the play clock for Buffalo. From the 32-yard line, here's Matt Barkley on 3rd down. Lets one fly to the right side. This one is picked off by the secondary of the Miami Dolphins. That's a big play for Miami, taking the momentum the other way. I see your smiles, Marchak. That's a humongous play right there.
Speak of the devil, right? Byron Jones reaching up. That one just underthrown completely by Matt Barkley. Just really struggled to read that play there. As Gabriel Davis, a guy who should be targeted often downfield. He has great breakout speed. Or I believe that might have been Xavier Howard, who's been quiet all night. So that is huge for the Dolphins to see him back in the game and, back into the action. So, you saw Rowe in there replacing him, but Xavier Howard back out, and he answers immediately. And this is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Unfortunately, he's been quiet all night. So that certainly had me scratching my head, and Byron Jones had to replace him somewhat if we're talking about production. And so that's good to see. The Dolphins will probably try and respond here as Tua Tagovailoa has a lot in his hands, excuse me.
Absolutely. That was a costly play for Buffalo as they had a drive going all the way to the 32-yard line. And on 3rd down, Barkley took a risk instead of just letting the field goal happen and throws an interception. And it's a big play for Xavier Howard making a play on the ball, and Miami gets it back. That's a big one if you're a Dolphins fan, because you really need a win here. I mean, the Browns now lead it 17-9 over the Steelers at the end of the 3rd. The Baltimore Ravens now lead it over Cincinnati 38-3. I'm telling you right now, as a Buffalo Bills fans, I do not want to play Lamar Jackson in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting matchup for sure, to say the least, especially with two guys who can both run the ball and get it downfield. Of course, Lamar Jackson doesn't necessarily have the same type of arm as Josh Allen, but both guys are athletic enough to break out of the pocket. Of course, they both have their strengths and weaknesses, whether it's on defense or offense, and that would be a great matchup. But just to continue to update the rest of the league, the Browns continue to separate. Now they're up 24-9. So this really is beginning to look like a game that the Dolphins have to win in order to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then you have Jacksonville and Indianapolis tonight, but Jacksonville 1-14 right now, the lowest team in the National Football League. But looking at those Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson struggled a lot through the year, and everyone said like, oh, they figured him out. Well, the last couple of weeks, he's kind of been the old Lamar Jackson, and nobody's really talking about it. But everybody on ESPN says every morning how dangerous the Ravens could be in the playoffs. And if you're a team like the Chiefs or the Steelers or the Bills, you don't want to have to play against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens because they're clicking at the right time. And I think I'd rather play any team besides the Ravens in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to credit that to really how the coaches run the games. Obviously, we have two great coaches to watch here today with the Dolphins and the Bills. Sean McDermott has had a hell of a job, and Brian Dable has done really well as the offensive coordinator. So I think that'll obviously be on the side of the Bills, whether or not they're matching up against great coaches. They seem to have perfect play calling, Gio.
Here's Tua on first down. Lets one fly deep to the right side, nearly a big chunk play that time for the Miami Dolphins, but unable to hit his intended wide receiver on that one. That's been a couple of times that he's tried to go deep. He tried it against Mike Gesicki, tries luck with Mike Gesicki, and it was tipped away. Tried it a couple times, unable to hit that one either, was Tua Tagovailoa, but back there deep that time, trying to be there. Nonetheless, was his wideout.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Tua's going to have to start to target Devontae Parker more often here.
Isaiah Ford was the intended receiver. This time, though, it's complete up the middle, and it's Devontae Parker to the left side. So first down for the Miami Dolphins, and now they move the chains.
Yeah, certainly interesting narratives to follow here as we see the scoreboard as Cleveland separating on Pittsburgh. But as a man is down for Buffalo, but at the end of the day, there's a ton of different guys who have been quiet all night, just now getting a little bit noisy for the Dolphins. Xavier Howard, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL with a big interception. And now Devontae Parker answering, although he was tripped up on his previous play, giving up an interception essentially to Josh Norman, one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL for the Buffalo Bills. So a lot of work for both these guys to do, a lot of responses to make, obviously, for Tua Tagovailoa, down 35-13 here with 3.5 to go. And he has a 1st and 10 opportunity to continue to claw his way back.
Absolutely. 35-13 is the score, like you said. 3:30 left to go on the clock. First down and 10. Saran Neal was the injured Buffalo Bill, but he walks off no problem on his own power. Here's Tua Tagovailoa in the shotgun. Trips to the right side, one receiver to the left. Tua dropping back. 4-man rush for Buffalo. Pass complete and dropped that time. Bowden Jr. was the intended wide receiver. Looked like he had it in his hands and took a hit from Teron Johnson and dropped the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think that the Dolphins are the team that really makes their game off of capitalizing off the other team's mistakes. But so far, the Bills have been the guys doing that. I mean, look at how many plays that we've made mistakes on that the Bills have almost directly capitalized on. And that's another one right here that the Bills can respond to on offense is just a drop pass. And we've had far too many of those today as well.
Second down and 10. Tua Tagovailoa drops back. It's going to be a halfback screen to Myles Gaskin. Gaskin, a burst of speed and a first down. How about Myles Gaskin? How dependable has he been today for the Miami Dolphins, Marchak?
Yeah, not the biggest or strongest running back, but certainly consistent. And that's all we ask for him, another halfback screen or a little wide receiver screen right there. And he's also gotten that 32-yarder on that trickery with Lynn Bowden Jr. throwing out to the left side to him. So he's really been there all night, although he hasn't had many major breakout plays. So we still have to rely on other guys like Devontae Parker and Tua Tagovailoa to get us downfield.
Tua dials one up deep, and this time it's caught by Devontae Parker, the back shoulder fade. How about it? Miami on a roll right now.
Finding themselves upfield. Look at this play. Tua Tagovailoa finding it to his left side. Devontae Parker did have to spin to his right, but he got both feet in. That's a great play right there. And that's why Parker is one of the most reliable guys on offense for the Dolphins, and they've really been missing him. So glad to see him back, especially last week against Las Vegas.
Now Tua on the quarterback keeper slides down across the 20-yard line and probably marked down at the 19. Tua Tagovailoa, a gain of 3, but how about that dial to Devontae Parker? They've done that a couple of times today. He's definitely the biggest threat on this Miami offense. And now they're knocking on the door of the end zone once again in the red zone. Buffalo, with a lot of their subs in right now in their secondary, on the D-line, pretty much their entire defense. And Miami certainly taking advantage of it. Second down and 7. Pass complete Devontae Parker, and he lost the ball. He had it, then he lost it, and then he took a big hit from Tyler Medikevich, who lifts him up. Third down and 7 now for Miami.
Yeah, Medikevich getting a little bit of a late hit, not necessarily his fault there, rushing in. Is that one broken up? So that's another drop pass right there. Wow, look how aggressive Medikevich is.
3rd down and 7 now for Miami, and this is where they've struggled in the red zone. It's sort of been their curse. But they do have
Especially
that
on
one
3rd down
touchdown.
conversions.
Absolutely. They're 0 for 10 on 3rd down, looking to get their first one right here, and it would be a big one. From the 20-yard line, 3rd and 7. 35-13 is your lead for Buffalo. 1:38 left to go in the third. Tua Tagovailoa takes the snap, dropping back in the shotgun. Pass over the middle, tipped and intercepted. Jordan Poyer is there to take it away for the Buffalo Bills. And just like that, Tua Tagovailoa throws another pick. And when you thought Miami had the momentum, the Bills the Bills were there to take it right away.
I like the idea of trying to find it deep. I love seeing Tagovailoa get the ball deep. He hasn't really been airing out his arm as much as he should. But again, there's running that risk, and no wonder they have him throwing it deep. Marlowe picking it off on that tip drill. Yep. And of course, Norman had one. A lot of plays that really could have fallen in the Bills' favor for other interceptions as well. But nonetheless, Tagovailoa really going to have to make some changes here, as there was really no reason to overthrow that football on that slant route right there.
Yep, Poyer 21, Dean Marlowe 31. Marlowe was the one with the interception, so good catch on the correction, Marchak. And it's 1st down and 10 for Buffalo. Antonio Williams on the handoff. He'll get taken down behind the line to gain. Loss of 1. And it'll most likely be 2nd down. And probably about 11, I would guess. So all the momentum taken out of the sails of Miami right there, just when they had a big drive going. And now Buffalo trying to maintain the clock, continue to run it out. A minute left in the 3rd quarter here. 16 minutes left of football, and Tua disappointed along the sideline, getting talked to by his quarterback's coach, possibly his offensive coordinator. And here are the Buffalo Bills. 2nd down and 8. A very nice give here on the spot. And Antonio Williams rumbles his way forward, gains about 5, 6, and it'll be 3rd down and short.
Yeah, we're certainly feeling the impact without Ryan Fitzpatrick today. He's only played 3 games as compared to Tagovailoa's 5 thus far, but 556 passing yards in 3 games is pretty impressive for a guy like Fitzpatrick, who's a veteran in the league. He averages almost 8 yards per attempt as compared to Tagovailoa's 6. So just small statistics to show just how the ineffectiveness of Tagovailoa has affected the offensive output of the Dolphins, who have really been held to almost under 200 yards thus far.
You don't hear the term in football very often, more of a baseball term, but Fitzpatrick's been the closer for the Miami Dolphins, and they're without their closer today due to COVID-19. That'll conclude the 3rd quarter, and the Buffalo Bills head into the 4th with a 35-13 lead over the Miami Dolphins. 15 minutes left to go. The Bills are 15 minutes away from clinching the 2 seed in the AFC playoffs, and the Dolphins falling behind need a win here, or they need a Baltimore, Indianapolis, or Cleveland loss, and that's not looking very good as Cleveland continues to grow their lead over the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no coming back if you're Cincinnati against the Ravens, and your last hope would be Jacksonville over Indianapolis today.
Yeah, I mean, the odds of this game falling in the Bills' favor right now is 99.8%. So the Dolphins almost completely knocked out of this. And so, you have to wonder exactly what changes they'll make. I have a strong feeling that I might be watching the Jaguars game later today, cheering on Jacksonville to see if they can get us back into the playoffs.
Gardner Minshew, he will likely be replaced as the first overall pick in the NFL draft this upcoming spring. Will go to the Jacksonville Jaguars because the New York Jets, for whatever reason, decided to win a couple of games. So it's likely that Trevor Lawrence will be a Jaguar next year and maybe turn that franchise around. But today you don't have that weapon. Instead, you have the mustached Gardner Minshew.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And he's certainly an interesting character, a lot like a lot of the faces that you see in the Bills as well, just different levels of success, So the Bills have had a heck of a day so far. Josh Norman has been chatting it up. Stephon Diggs has been a person to see on the sidelines for sure. And even Josh Allen has a smile on his face every once in a while, despite being one of the more stoic faces on the Buffalo Bills roster. So all sorts of guys certainly pleased with their effort so far today. And even Matt Barkley getting a little bit of action going too.
Absolutely. It should be an exciting 4th quarter It just seems like every time Miami gets some momentum, the Bills are there to take the wind out of the sails. And that's tough because it's really the Bills just kind of, they say tips and overthrows, right? That's how a guy in the secondary in the NFL makes his career, tips and overthrows. And that's exactly what that was. It was a little bit of an overthrow from Tua Tagovailoa, and it got tipped by the receiver, and just happened to be there was Dean Marlowe. It fell right into his lap. And so it's unfortunate for the Dolphins, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, Marlowe just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Obviously, he knows his zones well. He's been solid all night. And so is really the rest of the defense of the Bills, who somehow, have managed to outperform the Buffalo Bills. The Dolphins are supposed to have the best secondary in the NFL, but it certainly hasn't been performing like that tonight.
3rd down and 3 now for Matt Barkley. Pump fake, pass to the left side. It looked like Isaiah McKenzie dove at it for a catch, and the refs will spot him there. So it should be a 1st down for the Buffalo Bills. I'm sure they might take a look at it. We'll see if Isaiah made the catch. It was a low throw towards his feet. I'm not sure. Bills trying to get a snap off quickly before they can review it. They do, so there will be no review. Matt Barkley, 1st down and 10, letting one fly deep down the right sideline, and going up to make the catch is Gabriel Davis, the rookie out of UCF. Comes up huge. He's been phenomenal for the Buffalo Bills all year. Made another big catch right there.
Yeah, well, the University of Central Florida has really brewed some good talent in the past years, and he's a great example of it. Watch that ball all the way over the top, well thrown by Matt Barkley, and reaching up is Gabriel Davis. He's been quiet all night, and all of a sudden he breaks out, similar to other players in this game. And so that's his first big play of the night, and look for him to be targeted much more in this second half.
Absolutely. Gabriel Davis, even when Josh Allen is in there, a big part of this offense. Hasn't had a catch so far today. That was his first one. And it was a 51-yarder from Matt Barkley to Gabriel Davis. Now Antonio Williams on the handoff. Williams waltzes his way into the end zone, untouched, to the house for the Buffalo Bills. And this lead continues to grow.
Yeah, the Dolphins, you have to wonder exactly what happened to their defense. Brian Flores scratching a set on the sideline. And really, their rushing defense has been solid all year. Van Ginkel, a guy who can find those guys. Look at this offensive line push to the right side. And with Van Ginkel getting hit up the middle, that left the gap open for Williams to break through. And that the rest was history, really. 15-yard touchdown there for Antonio Williams running away with it. And so are the Buffalo Bills.
How deep is this Buffalo Bills team? Matt Barkley dials one up to the rookie Gabriel Davis out of UCF. Then the other rookie, Antonio Williams, runs it in for a touchdown from about 20 yards out. And then the rookie Tyler Bass with the point after attempt that goes right down the middle. That's 3 rookies making big plays for Buffalo right now. 42-13 is the lead right now over Miami. 13:22 left in the 4th.
Yeah, honestly, Gio, I hate to say it, but it might be as deep as it gets, really. This is extremely impressive. I mean, obviously on the defensive side of the ball, the Bills are pretty solid. Their secondary has been extremely impressive all night with multiple interceptions and multiple broken up passes up the middle, of course, with the lack of success from Tagovailoa, who hasn't been targeting his guys as well as he wanted to. But how about the offense? I mean, you brought this statistic up last game against the Patriots that he's scored touchdowns in the air, Josh Allen, mind you, to 13 different guys, which is tied for an NFL record. I mean, we're only looking for that 14th soon enough.
No, absolutely. And you saw them trying to get it last week against the Patriots a couple of times and just couldn't quite get it. A couple of drops. They might try and do it again today. Although you almost want Josh Allen to do it instead of Matt Barkley. But the record would still apply because the record is most touchdown receptions by a team. And they tied the record with 13. So they still technically, in a way, hold it tied with, I believe, the New Orleans Saints from a couple of years ago, trying to take that lead. And it's crazy. 13 different guys and that's just touchdowns. So absolutely remarkable. That's Antonio Williams getting his first burn of the season. That's his first touchdown as well of his young NFL career, the rookie out of North Carolina. So exciting stuff brewing in Buffalo, to say the least.
Oh yeah. I mean, really, to say the least, because this is extremely, I mean, you talk about how you as a Bills fan kind of fear playing Lamar Jackson and his Ravens, especially now that Jackson is beginning to look a lot like the MVP Jackson from last season. But if I were them, I'd be more terrified of a guy who's new to the scene, Josh Allen. I mean, he has a very wide variety of talents, not just within himself, but obviously on the roster. So certainly a force to be reckoned with in the AFC.
Absolutely. And you can make the argument that the Bills are playing better football than the Kansas City Chiefs as of late. The Chiefs kind of grinding out some victories down the later half of the season, not really looking like themselves. Miami took them all the way deep into the fourth quarter, and the Bills are playing their second stringers, and they're torching right now on Miami. I love you, Kyle, and I don't mean to rub it in, but the Bills are looking like they could be the best team in the AFC. But a score update, 24-15 is the lead right now for the Browns. So that's a touchdown out of the Steelers. 10:07 left to go in the fourth. 9-point lead for the Cleveland Browns. Just something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, and I can reminisce to only a couple of years ago when the Bills found a wild card spot at 9-7, and I'm not exactly sure which team they were relying on, but they were watching.
It was the Bengals.
It was the Bengals
against the Ravens.
Against the Ravens, which is a matchup we have tonight. And the Dolphins will be watching adamantly, I'm sure, right after this game for the Ravens-Bengals game. And then eventually the Jaguars and the Colts. But right now, the Steelers are the team to watch. Of course, I believe that Ravens-Bengals game is pretty much wrapped up, as you mentioned the score earlier.
Yeah, it's 38-3 right now. So it's and there's no Joe Burrow, but we're back to football. Tua dials one up, and this one's intercepted again. It's Dean Marlowe for the Buffalo Bills. He's looking for 6, and he'll be taken down at the 25-yard line. And on first down, Tua Tagovailoa throws his third interception of the day.
Yeah, that is the most in his career. I mean, obviously, this is his first multiple interception game in his history. Obviously, not a guy who produces a ton of yards, but usually more efficient than your average quarterback. And tonight, not reflective of that. You have to wonder exactly what he was thinking. That's his second interception on the first play of a drive in a row. So this is not looking pretty for the Dolphins right now.
Not quite. Dean Marlowe with a big catch, though, for the Buffalo Bills. That's his second pick of the day. And that's his first time with back-to-back interceptions. And they just showed the highlight of the Mason Rudolph to Chase Claypool play that drew the Steelers a little bit closer. What a throw and what a catch that was from the rookie Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame. Big play. I'm pulling for the Steelers for you, Marchak, because I'd love to play you guys again next week. Matt Barkley dropping back, play action fake, evading the pressure, pass up the middle to Antonio Williams. Williams breaks a tackle inside the 10, over the 5-yard line. Antonio Williams gave him a 20-yard gain, a big play out of the rookie once again.
I mean, these guys just do not stop. Look at Williams, ball up the middle, and he's not afraid to get those yards after contact. Such talent on this deep roster of the Buffalo Bills.
Look at the head fake, the shiftiness, and then there's the physicality out of Antonio Williams. I'd like to see this guy play a little bit next week, matter of fact. He's playing just like his counterparts, Devin Singletary and Zach Moss in the running back room. First down and goal for Buffalo, this one from this 5-yard line. Barkley under center, Antonio Williams back there. 2 receivers to each side. Handoff up the middle. Antonio Williams lunging forward, and it looks like he'll be taken down a yard or 2 short from the goal line. 12:33 left to go in the fourth. Second down and goal for Buffalo.
Yeah, and Davis and friends on the defensive side of the ball really seem to hit a brick wall right there. Williams is certainly a guy to really look out for on this football field. Man, is he strong for his size.
Antonio Williams, 7 rushes, 47 yards, and a touchdown today in his NFL debut for the Buffalo Bills. Coming in week 17, Josh Allen looks certainly pleased on the sideline. Can't see his face over his mask, but you'd have to assume he's smiling. 5 seconds left on the play clock for Buffalo. 1 receiver to the right. It's Gabriel Davis. Handoff up the middle. Antonio Williams dives forward across the goal line. Touchdown, Buffalo, and they're laying it on the Dolphins now.
Yeah, all of a sudden this fourth quarter, this game has really become a blur. Another 2-yard run for Williams to get his second NFL touchdown. This kid is certainly a talent to recognize, but nonetheless, you have to wonder exactly what Tua Tagovailoa is thinking on that previous play for the Dolphins and how he might respond, trying to keep himself winning this game, although the odds are really falling in the Bills' favor now with a 99.9% chance to win this game. And honestly, I can't help but agree with a 48-13 lead, Gio.
Tyler Bass to make it 49-13. This PAT is up and right down the middle. So the rookie to rookie action again. Antonio Williams, back-to-back touchdown runs, and Tyler Bass, back-to-back PATs. And it all started with the interception from Dean Marlowe, his second of the day. It's all Buffalo. 49-13 is the lead here in Orchard Park, New York. And I will say, Kyle, I did not expect this going into today.
No, I mean, not with what's supposed to be the best defense in the NFL in the Miami Dolphins. And it seems that they just can't hold off Josh Allen and friends. And even Matt Barkley, who's had some small sparks of offense. And obviously Antonio Williams, a rookie who is certainly a new force to be reckoned with here in the AFC, possibly. And 2 touchdowns already for him, both shorter runs, but nonetheless, touchdowns are touchdowns. And this kid is certainly powerful for his size.
The PAT was up and good for the Steelers, so it's an 8-point game out in, I believe they are playing in Cleveland. Yes, they are. So it's an 8-point lead for the Cleveland Browns, 24-16. Cleveland has the ball, 8:42 left to play. So the Steelers just got to get them a punt or a turnover, and then a score with a 2-point conversion. So they're not out of it. Pittsburgh is not out of it, and Pittsburgh's a good team. So I know they don't have their guy Ben Roethlisberger playing, but they got one of the best young wide receivers in the league in Chase Claypool out there, who made a big touchdown catch to draw that thing closer. The Baltimore Ravens still lead at 38-9 over Cincinnati. And then kicking off at 4:30 will be the Jaguars and the Colts. Kyle, I'm pulling for you. I really am. I'm pulling for these teams to make something happen, and I'm really got an eye on this Steelers game.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Gio. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of different scenarios for the Steelers to win and keep the Dolphins in the playoffs. They would certainly have something reminiscent of, as I mentioned earlier, when the Bills watched the Bengals get the win for over the Steelers, the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Apologize for that. And with that being said, they found themselves in the playoffs only a couple of years ago at 9-7. And here the Dolphins clawing away with what will most likely turn into a 10-6 record, still finding their way into the playoffs, possibly if the Steelers walk away with it. Or I might be sitting down tonight watching Jacksonville trying to hold on against the Colts, I believe. So a lot of different scenarios, like we said, all part of the chaos of Week 17 football. So there's nothing more other than the chaos to appreciate here.
Oh, absolutely. You got to love Week 17 NFL football, between teams not playing and everything like that. You saw last week, it was a big game where Kansas City needed, I sent it to you on Instagram, I believe. Kevin Harlan was basically doing what we are doing. He was calling 2 different games at the same exact time because the Dolphins were laying it on the Patriots, and they scored a touchdown with like seconds left, which gave the Kansas City Chiefs the game that he was actually calling, the 2 seed, which meant in the old playoff system, obviously they changed it this year. In the old playoff system, the 1 seed and the 2 seed would get the bye. Not the case anymore. Only the 1 seed now with the new playoff system. But last year, the 1 seed and the 2 seed would get the bye. Kansas City wanted the bye. They needed New England to lose, and your Dolphins had delivered. So it was cool. He was literally calling 2 games at once.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw that clip that you sent me, and that's really as good as it gets. Of course, you and I both looking forward to possible careers in not just calling football, but sports broadcasting in general. And Kevin Harlan had a heck of a job on that specific moment for sure.
One of the best to ever do it. Here come the Miami Dolphins. Handoff up the middle. Gaskin, actually Ahmed, is in now at tailback. He gets a gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8. 11:36 left to go here in the ball game. Buffalo leads it 49-13. 11:31 left to go. Clock continues to wind. Tua in the shotgun from the 27-yard line of their own territory. Tua dials one up down the middle, and it's Mike Gesicki, the tight end, with the reception, taken down a yard short. It'll be 3rd and 1 or 2 for the Dolphins.
And a small play that hopefully will help the confidence of that young man as he actually threw a ball up the middle without it getting intercepted. So it's good to see him getting a play in his favor there and perhaps just helping his confidence, as it's likely he's not walking away with this game as he rushes forward for the keep and the 1st down.
Yep, quarterback keeper for Tua Tagovailoa, and he lunges forward for a 1st down. Phillips is slow to get up for the Buffalo Bills. You don't like to see that. He's up for Walter Payton Man of the Year for all of his charity work in Buffalo and the Orchard Park, Buffalo surrounding area. So shout out to Harrison Phillips for what he does for charities and the community of Buffalo. Up for Walter Payton Man of the Year, but it's 1st down and 10 and a pass complete to the right side. 1st down for Miami, and Isaiah Ford with a big reception.
Yeah, Isaiah Ford getting some burn again. As we saw in one of the previous drives, there was a throw up the middle that was tipped, and it looked like it was dropped by him, but simply just a good defensive play by the Bills. So good to see him getting some burn. Similar to the Bills, there's a lot of different faces that Tua can throw here. So we'll see exactly who he turns to here.
Now a pass to the left side, complete again, and a first down for Miami once more. This time it's Ahmed in the backfield. And you haven't seen, their main tailback in a second, Myles Gaskin, but Ahmed getting some burn, and that's some big plays for him on this drive.
Yeah, interesting fact right here. Savannah Ahmed, although getting more touches than Patrick Laird, is actually written down as a third string running back, although I do recognize his face more than Patrick Laird. But Patrick Laird, a young talent that we've seen in the backfield for the Dolphins as well. So three different guys that get burned. Perhaps Patrick Laird is out on injury or COVID. Of course, in the chaos of NFL this season, there's so many different things to worry about.
Pressure coming. A strike up the middle was dropped by Isaiah Ford, and he's done that a couple of times tonight. Tua had him for a zip. That pass was on a rope. That would have been a 20-yard completion for the Miami Dolphins, and Ford couldn't corral it. And guys like that play defensive back, not wide receiver.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, that's far too many times that we've seen that tonight. And Tua, probably a young man who's pretty frustrated, not just with himself, but really just his team's performance overall. Brian Flores not looking happy on the sidelines, and you can kind of just tell his expression, although the mask is on.
Second down and 10. Now the Dolphins in Buffalo territory at the 39-yard line. Tua in the shotgun, dropping back, takes the snap. Left side, pass complete and dropped by Devontae Parker. Every time he gets it there, these guys just can't hang on to it. So it'll be third down and 10 once again from the 39.
Yeah, another play that after contact is just dropped. So you know what? That one was just dropped completely. Obviously, Devontae Parker noticing Marlowe coming in quickly, who's a really heavy hitter out of the deep field for the Bills, the secondary of the Bills. And so another drop pass right there. Tua Tagovailoa, I can't imagine what's going on in his head right now.
Might have heard the footsteps. Nonetheless, it's third down and 10 from the Buffalo 39 for the Miami Dolphins. Nobody back there. Trips to the right side, two receivers to the left side. Tua all alone back there. Four receivers for Buffalo. Pass complete up the middle, and it's Mike Gesicki, the tight end. A big first down, and that's poise in the pocket for Tua Tagovailoa. Four rushers for Buffalo came at him. He stood in there, and he delivers a strike to his big man out of Penn State.
Yeah, finally someone answers. Mike Gesicki, the man to hold on to the football finally. And Tua Tagovailoa, probably a little bit more confidence on a 20-yard play right there and up the middle. That was a well-run deep slant route by Mike Gesicki.
Here's Tua once again. 8:46 left to go. Handoff up the middle. Ahmed makes a man miss. Ahmed making a run for the end zone, and it's a touchdown, Miami.
So a small response right here is Ahmed's offensive line did their job, pushing to the right. He goes left. A simple play and a 16-yard run. Sylvan Ahmed getting some burn as Myles Gaskin unable to find himself in the touchdown zone thus far. So a huge play for the Dolphins right there.
Look at Sylvan Ahmed making men miss, reading the blocks perfectly, and waltzes his way into the end zone. Now they're going to go for two. This would make it a 21-49 game. They'd still find themselves a lot of touchdowns behind, but points would be good to say the least.
Yeah, looking a little bit more aggressive here. You just can't help but trust Brian Flores' play calling, although you have to remark that this game is likely going to fall in the Bills' favor with, on ESPN's stat sheet, a 99.9% chance of winning it right now.
8:40 left to go. 5 seconds left on the play clock here for Tua. Pressure coming, going for two, sending one to the end zone. This one's caught by Devontae Parker, but they will say he's out of bounds. Couldn't get 2 feet to stand. And I'd have to agree. Might have got one. Might have been a college 2-point conversion. Good, but we'll take a look on the replay. The first foot is out of bounds anyways. So close. Very, very close. And good throw because he put it where only his wide receiver could get it, but Parker couldn't get 2 feet on the toe tap.
Yeah, I mean, you described it best. Tua Tagovailoa obviously looking a little bit more confident there, getting it over the top to Devontae Parker, who's running a deep slant again. He's a guy that you target in the end zone over the top often, as well as another tall receiver we have in Mike Gesicki, a tight end, And so obviously they can't walk away with a 2-point conversion right there, but a close one at that.
So now Buffalo will get the ball back unless Miami goes for an onside kick, which when you're trying to get into the playoffs is very, very possible. Crazy to think. Miami right now, because of a trade with Houston, has the 3rd pick in the NFL draft, but could be a playoff team. Kyle, that's like never happened before, where you have the 3rd pick in the draft, but you're not a playoff team. Like, because of that trade, that is game changing for them trying to rebuild this program. You could make the playoffs and then get the third pick. That's unheard of. And there's going to be a lot of talent up on the board with the third pick in the NFL draft.
Oh yeah, I mean it's odd to see that fall in their favor. They've played a lot of money ball lately. It's kind of interesting to see it in the NFL. Almost every GM kind of runs it a similar way, and not really platooning their players, but just getting the best talents out there. And the Dolphins playing a little bit of money ball, getting those trades. They've traded a lot for draft picks. I mean, there's some questionable decisions in the past. I've seen it with when they had a talent in Jay Ajayi, one of our running backs, and they traded him for solely a 4th-round pick to the Jets. So a lot of questionable decisions. The Eagles, excuse me.
Absolutely. 49-19 is the lead for Buffalo. 8:37 left to go. Now, in another game, the Browns lead it 24-16 over the Steelers with 3:33 left to go. Handoff up the middle, Antonio Williams, literally calling 2 games here. But 24-16 is the lead for the Browns. But the Steelers have the ball, and it's 3rd down and 10 with 3:33 left to go. So interesting to see how this thing plays out. I continue to click the refresh button and see if we can get more updates. But
on my phone, I have it 2:11 left, 4th, and Steelers still with the ball. They are well downfield in the red zone, and if they hold on to the clock here as it hits the 2-minute mark, they could certainly give us the Dolphins a shot to walk away with a playoff berth while simultaneously losing terribly to the Buffalo Bills. That would certainly be interesting to see.
Yeah, you keep updating because I'm well behind you on the computer. I only got 3:02 left in the 4th. So you stay on that. 2nd down and 9 now for Buffalo. 8:29 left to go. 49-19 is the lead for the Bills. Here's Matt Barkley under center. This is nuts. Matt Barkley under center. Gabriel Davis in motion. And it's going to be a handoff to Williams again. Antonio Williams rumbling forward and driven backwards by the defensive line of the Miami Dolphins. I mean, they have to think that Buffalo's just trying to wind down this clock. 3rd down and 8, you'll probably look for a pass, but maybe they'll run it to protect the ball a little bit. Miami calls their final timeout of the game. Actually, excuse me, they do have one more. Buffalo still has all 3. And this is very similar to what we experienced against New England the other day. We're like, well, this game is just winding down. The substitutes are in. Like, what do we talk about? So we're gonna continue to look at the Browns and the Steelers. Any update, Marchak?
Yeah, I mean, it's still 24-16. They're still at that 2-minute warning, but it's been a 5-play, 61-yard drive thus far for Mason Rudolph, who's taken over for Ben Roethlisberger, resting up for his matchup next week. They'll likely fall into the 3rd seed. So a lot of things to worry about here as Brandon Beane is shown in the camera for the Buffalo Bills. As I was mentioning, general managers and how they've done, and the Dolphins have done well thus far. And, like we said, that 3rd pick will be huge for them. But really the worries right now is Pittsburgh.
Barkley looking deep, and the cameraman couldn't quite catch up, but it looks like it was incomplete for Isaiah McKenzie. We couldn't really see the play. A little bit of faultiness there on the CBS crew, but out of bounds it goes. McKenzie couldn't get there. 4th down and 8. Barkley tried to dial one up deep, and the Bills will punt it away to the Miami Dolphins. Really all for naught at this point, though.
Yeah, a little bit of what I would call an arm punt right there. Just getting that one downfield.
Yes. Corey Bojorquez here with the big boot. We'll see what he can do. And there's a flag, and it might be against the Dolphins. Nope, false start against the Bills. So Bojorquez will be a little bit deeper into his own territory. Maybe the Dolphins try and rush this thing for a block. No matter what, they're going to get decent field position out of it. I don't care who you are. This would be a nuts punt to get this thing anywhere past the 30-yard line.
Meanwhile, the Steelers respond to the Browns. They're down 24-22. They'll have to go for a 2-point conversion. Juju Smith-Schuster has been their guy all year, and he gets the touchdown for a 2-yard pass. Short middle pass, it says here in ESPN's description. They've really been my friend all night. And so this is going to be huge. This is pivotal to the success of the Dolphins finding themselves in the playoffs as they drop a punt reception here.
As they muff the punt, it's picked up and it's returned. And Perry makes a return out of it, and actually a very nice one of about 15 yards after he muffed the punt. So crazy sequence of events. I feel you, Kevin Harlan, as we're watching both games. And Kevin Harlan actually calling the Buffalo Bills game right now on CBS. I wish I could be listening to him because he is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I mean his voice is fantastic, and he's really good at what we're trying to do is really simplify the chaos of Week 17 football. And this is really as good as it gets, Gio. With 1.5 to go, the Steelers have a chance to pretty much give a playoff berth to the Dolphins. This 2-point conversion, I'm sure they're going for, will be pivotal to just how important the future of the Dolphins are right here.
I'll tell you right now, I don't want to play the Cleveland Browns either. Here's Tua Tagovailoa, first down and 10. Finds a receiver on the right side. It's Isaiah Ford. Hangs on to this one. Gain of only about 3 or 4. Back over to you, Kyle, with the update from Pittsburgh.
No update yet, but back on that play here in Buffalo, I mean, this is all part of the chaos, Gio. You and I are really going back and forth between these games. But yeah, and that's looking a little more comfortable for Tagovailoa, who broke out of that pocket and rolled out wide to get that pass down. That's the Tagovailoa we've been looking for all night.
Tua, another pass complete up the middle. This time it's to Bowden Jr., and it's a first down for Miami. 7:28 left to go as they move the chains.
No update yet from Cleveland.
No, and I'm telling you right now, though, I'd rather play Miami next week than play Cleveland. I'll tell you that right now. I don't want to face Buffalo struggles against the run, and one of the best running backs in the league is definitely Nick Chubb on that team. So handoff up the middle now, and a big burst of speed this time for the Miami Dolphins, trying to get a number. Smith on the tackle for Buffalo. It'll be second down and 4. And the run up the middle was by Sylvan Ahmed. So second down and 4, 6:40 left to go here in the ball game. Inside Buffalo territory across the 50-yard line at about the 47. Pass to the left side. This time complete and dropped. A fumble on the field. And it looks like the Bills fall on top of it.
Yeah, what a mess this game has been for the offense of the Dolphins, and Marlowe's done his job all night. And the Bills just looking super comfortable, and they're certainly prepared for that second seed spot next week, although they're worried about who they're coming up against. In an unfortunate update in Cleveland, the Steelers could not convert, so they're going to have to make some magic happen against the Browns offense right now in order for the Dolphins to find themselves in. If not, it looks like me as a Dolphins fan will unfortunately have to be rooting for the Jaguars tonight against the Indianapolis Colts. What a story that would be if the Jaguars walk away with a win to give the Dolphins a playoff berth.
Good luck with that, my friend. Good luck with that. That's unfortunate that they couldn't get it to go, but they still have, I believe they still have all 3 timeouts, it says. So some magic is possible with all 3 timeouts possibly here. So here are the Buffalo Bills from about midfield. Matt Barkley dials one up deep. He's trying to find Gabriel Davis. He's got Gabriel Davis, and Gabriel Davis goes into the end zone for a Buffalo touchdown. How about the arm of Matt Barkley? Finds Davis deep down the field for the second time tonight, and this time it's for 6.
55-19, Gio. Matt Barkley's really taken over for Josh Allen just as well as he's wanted to. Look at that route running, a little bit of shimmy, and then he breaks free. Great breakout speed as Byron Jones just could not hold on. Look at that breakout speed of Gabriel Davis, one of the faster athletes on this Buffalo Bills squad. A little bit of a salsa right at the end, over the top. Barkley finding his man.
It's a good day to be a Buffalo Bills fan if you are one out there in America. The Bills, even their second string quarterback looks like an MVP candidate out there.
Oh, I'm sure it is nice.
I'm sorry, but the PAT's up and good. 56-19 is your lead. 6:18 left to go in the fourth quarter. Gabriel Davis reaching his big mitts out to make that catch and gets his way into the end zone. How about the Buffalo Bills? Matt Barkley with the celebration. Hugs his center, Mitch Morse. And the Bills landed on him. So any update from Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, it's still 24-22, 1 minute and 10 seconds to go here in the fourth quarter. The Browns marching up field. So continuing to have a diminishing fate for the Steelers. And that would mean in turn, pretty much a diminishing fate for the playoff hopes of the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa and company. Of course, we're missing out on Ryan Fitzmagic today, who is a guy as NFL or the ESPN production has described as the closer of the team. And I can't help but agree, looking at his performance last week against the Las Vegas Raiders, as a huge play got them upfield with the final seconds ticking away, Jason Sanders' 44-yard field goal. So certainly missing out on him tonight, as the defense was not up to par either. And, with 6 minutes to go, this game is pretty much all wrapped up here in Buffalo. Obviously, I, as a Dolphins fan, is more concerned with this Pittsburgh Steelers game. And, it seems the Browns are marching upfield. So with that being said, you have to worry about the playoff scenarios for the Dolphins. And, really the only option left for them, if the Steelers don't walk away with a win tonight with a minute to go, down by 2 and Browns possession, is pretty much a shot for the Colts to lose to the Jaguars, who are the worst team in the NFL. So a lot of things to worry about if you're a fan of Miami, and I'm certainly with you guys.
Absolutely. So we'll keep it posted on the updates from Cleveland, as the Buffalo Bills currently lead it over the Miami Dolphins 56-19, 6:18 left to go in what's felt like a very long fourth quarter. Tua Tagovailoa in the shotgun takes the snap, pass complete to the right side, and taken down after about a gain of 3 that time is the tailback. It'll be second down for Miami. .557 left to go. Clock continues to wind under 6 now for Tua and the Dolphins, as their fate lies in the hands of some other people around the National Football League.
And so with an update from Pittsburgh, unfortunately, the game has fallen in the favor of the Browns. So now the Dolphins, they obviously want to make some moves and win this game against Buffalo, but it looks like we're going to have to turn to the Indianapolis Colts tonight. Will they lose against the Jaguars? Obviously, Gardner Minshew is going to try his best for Jacksonville, but at the end of the day, it looks like the Dolphins have tried their best, and Brian Flores, I'm sure, soon enough will get updates on that Steelers game, and he's not looking happy on the sideline for Miami right now.
Not at all. 5:18 left to go, and we'll be rooting on Gardner Minshew and the Jacksonville Jaguars here tonight. Pressure coming, pass complete up the middle to Mike Gesicki from the quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. And a first down for Miami. 5 minutes left to go here in the fourth quarter. Tyler Medikevich came in to make the tackle, but it's all for naught, as Mike Gesicki, 5 receptions for 47 yards so far today. Inside 5 minutes we go here in Orchard Park. Tua in the shotgun, trips to the right side, one to the left. Tua dropping back, pressure coming from Mario Addison, gets a pass off. It's a screen to the left side, and a big gainer this time now for the Miami Dolphins, about 6 on first down. And that's by the tailback, Salvan Ahmed. Medikevich on the tackle once again, second down and 3. All smiles on the Buffalo Bills sideline, to say the least, with the white helmets, the blue jerseys, and the white pants. First playoff game being hosted in Buffalo for the first time since 1995. Absolutely incredible. Pass complete up the middle. Bowden made a move across the 50, go the Miami Dolphins inside Buffalo territory once again. Injury on the field. It's Smith, but he gets up no problem. Waves off the trainers, all good. First down and 10, 3:51 left to go as the clock continues to wind for the Miami Dolphins. And the Bills are that much closer to a large victory here. 56-19 is the blowout score with 3:42 left to go. Tua in the shotgun. Dropping back, pressure's coming. Nearly gets sacked, but escapes it. Lets a strike fly down the middle, and it is nearly intercepted out of the hands of Bowden. And Dean Marlowe almost had his third of the game, and he's slapping the ground knowing it.
Yeah, and now we're looking at the AFC playoff picture. Right now, the Dolphins still in it. Of course, they'll fall to 10-6. The Buffalo Bills will clinch that second seed. And Indianapolis is the team that's listed in the hunt. And that is huge for them, because it's likely that with this game against the Jaguars and Miami losing, Cleveland winning, clinching their spot, and the Ravens obviously will eventually clinch their spot as well, that they'll be a team that in the last week simply replaced Miami's spot in the playoffs. It's a real unfortunate scenario for Miami, who's tried their best, falling to 10-6 against the Buffalo Bills. This, like we said, was a game that they just simply needed to win. They couldn't do it. So, I really believe that tonight, if the Colts win it, they certainly deserved it, as they clawed their way back in.
To a big ball up the middle, completed to Isaiah Ford over Josh Norman. And Norman continues to flap his gums as we reach 3 minutes left to go here in this ball game. Isaiah Ford came up with a big catch there, but too little too late here for the Miami Dolphins as they roll down the field. First down and 10 from the 25-yard line of Buffalo. Go Miami. Here's Tua in the shotgun, dropping back. Lets one fly to the right side, and it is caught. Touchdown by Perry and the Miami Dolphins. Don't count them out just yet, but count them out just yet. It seems a little too late. 56-25, Kyle, but that was a pretty throw from Tua, the rookie.
Yeah, Malcolm Perry, our backup wide receiver, replacing our slot receiver in Jakeem Grant Jr. He's replaced him almost completely tonight, as he's also our kick and punt returner as well, although we've seen his mistakes turn into great offensive opportunities for the Bills. So small things like that have not fallen in his favor, but good to see him get his burn. He's a young face on this roster, and I'm glad to see him out there getting a touchdown that might be one of his first of many in his career.
So the PAT now is up and good. So your score 56-26. The Bills lead it by 30, 2:47 left to play. And you have to think the Bills are just going to kill out the rest of this clock. A couple of runs, and it's still iced up here as the Bills have played pretty much their bench the entire second half and still scored with them. I mean, how about Matt Barkley and Gabriel Davis, as well as Antonio Williams at the halfback spot?
Yeah, it's very interesting because obviously talking about NFL teams, you can be very opinionated. You could say this and that about which team is best. And, at the end of the day, the numbers didn't lie. It said that the Dolphins held off teams to the least amount of points on average compared to everyone else in the NFL. And tonight they gave up the most points they've ever given up in many, many years I've seen, really. And so not only is this totally uncharacteristic of the defense of the Dolphins, but Tua Tagovailoa has had one of his worst performances, having to give up the ball to guys like Gaskin often, who's carried them through the yards. Of course, Tagovailoa has rushed as much as possible as well, but his arm is just what needs to be worked on. He's not afraid to break out of the pocket, but you have to wonder just how happy he is in Miami right now with his lack of offensive production.
So how good are the Buffalo Bills then? With the numbers you speak of how good the Dolphins defense is, are the Bills that good?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it reflects it directly. The Bills have so much depth and so much talent everywhere as the Bills receive the onside kick. And, obviously the numbers said it. The Dolphins were the best defense in the NFL. Obviously, this is a pretty crooked number, and that'll take away that spot for them statistically, although they are still argued to have one of the best secondaries. That wasn't displayed well tonight. And with that being said, that Josh Allen and company, their offense is certainly one of the best in the NFL with guys like Stephon Diggs, and so many other faces have scored in the air. Like you said, 13 different faces have scored in the air, and that's tied, I believe, for the NFL record. So, the Buffalo Bills, just a team that you have to worry about, through and through again, so many different faces. It's certainly a scary team, and I think the numbers reflect it well. They are one of the best in the NFL.
Handoff here, Antonio Williams up the middle. He'll gain about 7 for Buffalo. First down and 10. Now for the Bills, it'll be second down. And Kyle, I couldn't agree with you more. Great analysis as always. Second down and 3. Antonio Williams having himself one heck of a second half. Rookie out of North Carolina, as I mentioned, as they near the 2-minute warning. At the 2-minute warning, we're going to take a quick break here on Orange Heat, and we'll be right back right after it. And I think the Buffalo Bills are going to just take this thing right down to the 2-minute warning with 15 seconds left on the play clock and 9 on the game clock. Everyone talking about it. And yeah, that's exactly what I think, although the clock stopped. So maybe not. Second down and 3. I don't know what's going on. They stopped the clock and Miami called the timeout. Okay. So Miami calls the timeout. And we're just moments away from the 2-minute warning as well. So they kind of can use that as another timeout, basically.
Yeah, and this reflects well on Brian Flores, who's the new head coach of the Dolphins. And, he hasn't had as much success as he's wanted, but nonetheless, he's a guy that fights right up until the end, even if it means he doesn't have a playoff shot. And he's a guy who isn't afraid to compete. You can tell he's just a natural competitor, very stoic man on the sidelines of the Miami Dolphins. He's had his fair share of success in his tenure in Miami, and hopefully it will continue to be like that, as he's a guy who possibly right up until now has been a person to look at for Coach of the Year nominations, and he'll probably stay up there right up until the end.
Antonio Williams now takes the handoff on 2nd and 3. It's a first down for Buffalo And that should take us down to the 2-minute warning. Yep, it does. So Antonio Williams with a big one. And the 2-minute warning, Buffalo leads at 56-26. We'll be right back here on Orange Heat. Welcome back here from the 2-minute warning in Orchard Park, New York. And it's all but knees for the Buffalo Bills at this point as Brandon Beane and company look on. General manager for the Buffalo Bills. You have to congratulate his effort. I mean, phenomenal job since taking over as GM, as well as head coach Sean McDermott. Moves like drafting Josh Allen, moves like getting Singletary and Moss in the draft and Gabriel Davis. And the biggest move of all had to be acquiring Stephon Diggs in that trade with the Minnesota Vikings. It's been sensational for this team. Congratulations to the Pagulas, the owners of the Buffalo Bills, Brandon Beane, the GM, and the head coach, Sean McDermott. They've put together one heck of a team as they continue to kneel down. Miami out of timeouts, and 56-26 should be our final.
As we see the adjusted AFC playoff picture, Dolphins will eventually fall to 10-6. That leaves them in the hunt. Hopefully, Indianapolis will have their fair share of good performances against the Jaguars tonight. If they do win, they have locked their spot up. So Miami in the final week seem to have fallen off, and Ed Oliver and friends on the defensive side of the ball very happy on their performance tonight, dancing on the sideline. Meanwhile, Miami looking a little more stoic than usual.
Absolutely. And one final knee for the Buffalo Bills. That'll do it. The Bills win this thing 56-26. Your final score from Bills Stadium at Orchard Park, New York. A big win for Buffalo by 30 points. Miami now has to depend on the Jacksonville Jaguars to try and take over the Indianapolis Colts and earn their shot in the playoffs. Otherwise, the AFC playoff teams getting in today would be the Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Indianapolis Colts. Josh Allen had a heck of a performance early on, Kyle. We'll take a look at some of the stats before we turn you loose, but your final thoughts on the game as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, the Dolphins were supposed to statistically have the best secondary, if not the best defense in the NFL. And today that just wasn't the circumstance. Miami Dolphins fall very short of the offensive output of Josh Allen and friends, and eventually Matt Barkley coming in and having his fair share of success. Antonio Williams with a couple of rushing touchdowns. I mean, it's just such a well-rounded squad that the defense of the Dolphins couldn't handle for some reason. The secondary was supposed to be it, but Xavier Howard was nowhere to be seen with only one interception and pretty much a lot of blown coverages from both our cornerbacks and Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, who are supposed to be guys who lock it up often. So again, both of them strike as culprits for interceptions, but at the end of the day, far too many yards and far too many, rushing and passing touchdowns given up. So a lot of changes for Brian Flores to make, possibly waiting all the way until next season as Baker Mayfield and friends walk away with a win against the Steelers and they clinch their spot in the playoffs. The Ravens do so as well right now. And so now it's left up to the Indianapolis Colts in Jacksonville against Gardner Minshew and friends. And if Gardner Minshew walks away with a win, despite his 1-14 current record, the Dolphins will actually still find themselves in the playoffs. So nonetheless, the odds not looking good for them. But at the end of the day, the Bills did their job. And as expected, Josh Allen walks away with a win, despite the Dolphins being a 3.5-point favorite tonight.
Absolutely. We'll take a look at some of the numbers now. Buffalo wins this one 56-26, your final score in Orchard Park. They advance now their record to 13-3 on the season. On the other side, the Miami Dolphins go to 10-6 on the season. Bills are undefeated in divisional play here at Buffalo Bills Stadium. And looking at some of the numbers, Josh Allen, 18 for 25, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he was only sacked one time. Matt Barkley, 6 for 13, 164 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Rushing the ball, actually, Antonio Williams led the way, 12 carries for 63 yards and 2 touchdowns. So a performance by the rookie out of North Carolina. Moss, 3 for 8, and Singletary, 3 carries for 7 yards. So minimal out of those two. Receiving for Buffalo, Gabriel Davis, 2 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Diggs, 7 receptions, 76 yards, and no touchdowns. John Brown, 4 receptions, 72 yards, and a touchdown. McKenzie, 6 receptions, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. McKenzie also had that big punt return. Dawson Knox also caught 2 balls for 29 yards. So the punt return as well for the Buffalo Bills. It was Isaiah McKenzie to the house, and Tremaine Edmonds led the way in tackling for the Bills with 9 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, 1 sack, and 1 tackle for loss. Kyle, you want to take a look at the Miami Dolphins side of things?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was just a simple underproduction. Tua Tagovailoa was the biggest statistic, held to under 250 yards and really under 300 yards of total offense. So obviously the offensive output was a strange statistic to look at. Usually Tagovailoa more consistent to that, although he's not a guy who has a huge offensive output. He gave up 3 interceptions tonight as compared to the defense's 2 interceptions that they got, both in our cornerback duo, like I said, and Byron Jones leading it off with a big interception. And unfortunately, too much too late with Xavier Howard's interception. And nonetheless, they gave up far too many yards from guys like Isaiah McKenzie and Stephon Diggs. So at the end of the day, the numbers obviously weaker on the Dolphins side, a lot of defensive and offensive changes for them to make. Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator, I'm sure has a lot of work to do with him and Brian Flores soon enough.
Absolutely. So that'll wrap things up here for our broadcast today. The Buffalo Bills come away with a Week 17 victory, 56-26 over the Miami Dolphins. They clinch up that 2 seed in the AFC playoffs. Looming who they will play next week is still a question mark and up in the air. Tonight, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Indianapolis Colts, as the Miami Dolphins will patiently wait on alongside Kyle Marchak, seeing if their team will be in the playoffs or not. They depend on Gardner Minshew and the Jacksonville Jaguars. That'll do it for us today here on Orange Heat. Thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate it. We always appreciate the support. It was a good, exciting day today. Syracuse basketball should be back. It was supposed to be back on Wednesday against Florida State. Now Florida State has COVID issues. So possibly SU might schedule one against Duke that day, because that's who Florida State was supposed to play when their game got canceled, or whatever it may be. But likely SU might also have to wait till they play Georgetown a few days after that. So the wait continues on for SU basketball, but that wraps up our broadcast today. So thank you so much for being here, Marchak.
Thank you for having me. It's a great production you have here, and it's always fun calling with you.
Of course, the Buffalo Bills win this one 56-26. For Kyle Marchak, I'm Giovanni Heater, and we'll see you next time.